JustinFREAKIN, the formidable voice in the culture. Hey Justin, are you trolling?
Come on, man.
This is the Troll Patrol, live with JustinFREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Thursday. No, hold on. It's a Wednesday because tomorrow's the debate. Tomorrow's a Thursday. Today's a Wednesday. Glad we got that cleared up. I'm as good with days as I am with math. It might be Thursday for you, Warlord. I think it is. So happy Thursday to Warlord. Good evening, welcome. It's the Troll Patrol Live. It's Wednesday for those of you over here in the colonies. Good evening, welcome. It is Debate Eve. Now I had planned on streaming the debate with you guys tomorrow night. Having a lot of fun. Debates are always a big night for us. Apparently, CNN has told Timcast, Breaking Points, that they are not allowed to stream the debate on YouTube. So I don't know what to do. Should we? I don't want to. I could cry about it. I might. I want to be a good boy. Well, yeah. Okay, so I can use C-SPAN. I probably would use C-SPAN because we were planning on doing C-SPAN calls. But it's still CNN's stream. CNN is allowing C-SPAN to use their stream. That's why I thought I was going to be in the clear. Okay, so that's what I'm asking you guys. If we forego, because I gotta be on my best fucking behavior with Twitch. I don't think it's the video that would do me in. I think it's the audio that they're listening for. Because it's like with music and shit, it's audio that the AI is scouring. So we can do Twitter if you want. We can do Kick. We can do Kick and D Live. We can do two sources. I could pitch shift it. Do you guys want me to? Okay, so one time I got popped for doing WWE. I had the Royal Rumble going on. It was live. If it wasn't live, we've watched wrestling on stream, but that was the first time I'd watched it live, and I don't think WWE liked me showing it live. I got a copyright strike on Twitch for it. I'm afraid, Porg, because it's a strike. It's a strike on both platforms. And I gotta be on my best behavior on both. I've gone forever without getting a strike on YouTube. I've got a warning. I've had a warning for years. It said that you can go take some class and get the warning taken off of your account. I don't have that option. I've tried. I've even gone to the YouTube chat about it and been like, hey, can I get this warning taken off? Because, that's a thing you guys said you would do. But no. So I don't know. I feel like we'll do 2 hours. We're going to do 7 to 9 on... even if Kick is enforcing, which I don't think they are. They let pedophiles rape kids on Kick. So I feel like they ain't enforcing shit over there. But even if they are, fuck Kick. I don't give a shit if I get kicked off of Kick. But I don't think they are. I think Kick and D Live, those are the two platforms we could go on. We would totally be safe. So do 2 hours tomorrow night. We'll come on at 7 on Twitch and YouTube. Then we'll say goodbye to Twitch and YouTube. We'll go to Kick and D Live. Or Twitter. We can go Kick and Twitter if you guys. If more of you are on Twitter and you would like to watch on Twitter, I can do that. I think I can go live on Twitter. Or do you have to be premium to go live on Twitter? Because I'm not Twitter premium. I do not have a blue check. I think they did put the live behind the paywall. I used to be able to go live on. It wasn't Twitter. They don't really have users. No, Holiday. Also, Quesadilla, Battle Opossum, DJ Dub, Holiday, good evening, Warlord, my friends, Flash, Porg, so good to see you all. Did I get everybody? I think. I've been rambling. It is debate eve, Battle Opossum. So we're doing a stream tonight, find out what that news be doing. And then we're discussing what we're going to do tomorrow night for the debate. Here's your meme of the day, since we're going to be talking about the Supreme Court later on in the stream. Very subtle. This one's very subtle. I'm not high enough for this shit. Of course, this is Justice Clarence Thomas. Dougie, good evening. I feel like there's Nazis anywhere we go. I feel like there's Nazis on D Live. I feel like I feel bad that guy on Buffalo on D Live. He was like my one viewer on D Live. But like we haven't been on D Live in a while. Fat Little Possum was gonna give me a call, was wanting to smoke the Chiba with me. Well, you can pack it, get it ready. Cause I'm gonna ramble for a little bit longer. Then we can find out what that news be doing. Oh, what kind of shit we gonna be talking about tonight? It's a wild show as always. Ooh, we're gonna do plenty of foreign affairs tonight, and Israel is not the top story. A coup could be going on in Bolivia as we speak. It's like coup with a question mark. We don't know if it's a coup or not yet. They saw pigeons outside of the presidential palace. They were all saying, coup, coup, coup. Bill Hicks joke. Kenya erupted in protest. Several people died. The president has backed off a proposed tax bill. Israel killing a Doctors Without Borders staffer who was biking his way to work. Julian Assange has been freed. Oh, wants me to smoke up. I feel like people needed, they needed their teasers. They needed to know the kind of shit that's going to go on in the show, right? Because that's what the first part of the show is. I ramble, and then I billboard the stories that we're going to talk about. So I feel like people need to ruminate on some of the stories that we will be covering. Like, speaking of getting high, Oklahoma City been experiencing some high winds. Midwest has been inundated with flooding. I'm going to show you a house that apparently, sinked down into a river. There is a dam that has been on the verge of collapse. I don't think it actually collapsed. It actually held up, I believe, as of this evening. We're gonna check in on the Minnesota Rapido Dam or some shit like that. A Hindu man in Louisiana is wanting to display Indian scripture on the walls of schools. To me, that is textbook kicking authority in the balls.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
I ain't high enough for this shit. I know we got some crazy video we're gonna watch too. It's debate eve, so we're gonna have to talk about the stage for the debate. I got an ex-BLM protester who says he's voting for Donald Trump. JD Vance is gonna explain to you why he shouldn't be the vice presidential pick. I agree with him. He shouldn't be. I mean, here's the thing. If Donald actually wanted to win, if he could get out of his own way and stop tripping over his own dick, he'd pick Nikki Haley. That's the key to winning this race. She was still getting 10 to 15% of the vote after she had dropped out, showing that there is a contingent. I believe that a Nikki Haley voter in a Republican primary actually translates to a Joe Biden voter. I don't see what the drastic difference is between the two of them. I feel like, and that is what the Democrats are counting on to be the Joe Biden appeal, that he will pill off the sane Republicans as if that's a thing. I mean, I'm telling you what their logic is. Obama worried that Joe Biden is going to lose this election. He also said that in 2020. He's probably right. He's got a point. Obama got a point. We're going to check back in with the Oakland mayor who was raided by the FBI. She said it's because she's not rich. She might have a point. The Georgia Supreme Court removed a judge who was accused of punching a cop. I don't know anything about this Karen Reed trial, but we're going to check in on it. She apparently had some big burly men surround her. The jury is deliberating, I believe. A Florida woman ran over her baby. Why did I say it like that? A Fort Worth cop arrested a YouTuber, apparently beat the shit out of her. The young man who shot up an Illinois parade was apparently going to plead out. That plea deal has fallen apart in a dramatic courtroom scene earlier today. I got video of a truck plowing into a backyard in New Jersey. We've got harrowing footage of a child that was saved with just moments to spare on a train track. You a wrestling fan? Jesse. Too Cold Scorpio has been arrested for a violent stabbing. He's claiming it was in self-defense. Currently incarcerated. I'm going to tell you about the wrestling match between the Foo Fighters and Taylor Swift. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol live. Good evening. I'm not sure what crazy rules you're talking about, Porg. So there's going to be no audience. That's the craziest one to me. Donald Trump getting the last word. Apparently not. He was arrested in like Indiana or some shit. I don't remember the details of the story. I'm not a pre-watch Andy. We need to get a little more high, and we'll find out what that news be doing because we got a lot of news to get to. He was working as a security guard at a truck stop. Well, that might have, if you're a security guard at a truck stop, you might actually have cause to stab somebody at some point in time. That's absolutely believable to me. This shit's apparently called Purple Passion, this Mary Jane I'm smoking. I kept calling it Purple Nurple. It's apparently called Purple Passion. It's got my passions going high. Yeah, they're gonna be killing the mics. The mics will only be on. But here's the thing. Like microphones, you're there without a crowd. It's gonna echo. Microphones don't stop me. Not having a microphone. You'll hear me in Biden's microphone. You will be violent. Good evening. You will be able to hear Trump in Joe Biden's microphone. So I don't know exactly what's gonna happen. Venus, good evening. This is wild to me. Who knows what the fuck is going to happen tomorrow night during the debate, which apparently we're gonna have to watch on Kick and D Live. Because CNN out here like threatening the big streamers. So we'll do like 2 hours on Twitch and YouTube. Then we'll switch over to Kick and D Live. I don't think he's gonna. I think the bar is so fucking low, and I think people underestimate Biden. I think the no crowd is a win for Biden. Cause in Atlanta, Trump would have been able to draw a fucking crowd in Georgia. It was pro-Trump, would have, he would have fed off the crowd. Without a crowd, I think that's a point in Biden's favor. We'll see what happens. I have more faith than you guys. I think Biden, honest to God, thinks he's the only one that can beat Trump. And that he is doing his civic duty to protect democracy. I bet he, honest to God, thinks that shit. Don't mean I agree with it. I think any Democrat would have been way better. Like Gretchen Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, Andy Beshear in Kentucky. Who's the dude in Pennsylvania? He's really popular. Like the Democrats have got some, they got some talent. They got some up and coming politicians. We really needed to get Biden out of the way. My God, I wish he had. See, everybody fucking love Andy. Andy fucking Democrat winning in a red state. Jamal Bowman's a loss. Big juicy talent, clinically. Good evening. Big juicy talent gets a titty slap.
A titty slap! What the? Give me those titties,
Come on now.
We'll get to the primary races here in just a second. You missed the meme of the day. People who hate Newsom do. Well, that's the Fox News has been priming people. Whitmer and Andy Beshear and Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania. They haven't had like the all-out assault on them that Gavin Newsom has had from the right. That shit matters. The right wing, they will in unison just impugn your character. I say as I have a caricature of a Supreme Court justice up on the screen. But it's fitting, right? Some might say it's not my place to show that sort of picture. And you would probably be right. I probably have no place to do that. But it's fucking funny. We're going to go to Bolivia, where we might have a coup, an attempted coup.
Some breaking news that we are receiving from Bolivia. The president is warning of irregular movement of troops in the capital, raising fears of a possible coup. Well, let's bring in our correspondent now, Teresa Bo, who is in Buenos Aires on the phone. Teresa, what have you been hearing?
Well, there's lots of tension in Plaza Murillo. This is right in front of the Palacio Quemado, which is the presidential palace in Bolivia's capital, La Paz. What we're seeing right now are several units of Colombia's armed forces. They're heavily armed with armored vehicles right in front of the presidential palace. Just a few minutes ago, one of those armored vehicles was trying to break the main door, the main entrance towards the presidential palace. In charge of this is the former or current commander of the armed forces of Bolivia. His name is Juan José Zúñigo. He was the commander of the armed forces in Bolivia, but apparently because of what we've been listening this past few days, he was very critical of former President Evo Morales, and he was going to be destituted and replaced by the current administration of Luis Arce. And what we're hearing is that it could be a coup. This is certainly what the government is saying, what former President Evo Morales in Bolivia is saying. What the armed forces and what this general is saying is that they're defending democracy.
Everything comes back around every 30 years.
That there's lots of discontent within the military. The big question right now is how much support this general has. Certainly, there's lots of talks right now in Bolivia, elsewhere, and for what we're seeing right now is that this is a coup against the government of Luis Arce.
And Teresa, I'll just explain for our audience that what they are looking at now are live pictures.
The general says that there will be a new cabinet installed. You see them that was a live shot just a couple of hours ago. 3 hours ago is when this aired.
From Bolivian local TV. Teresa, is there a wider context here that you could inform our audience about in terms of the political situation in Bolivia?
Well, certainly. Let's not forget what's been happening in Bolivia in this past year since Evo Morales was forced to leave the country back in 2019 after being accused of committing fraud, after a government that came after that in a way banned Morales from coming back into the country, persecuting the indigenous social movement that supported Evo Morales. After that, there were elections in place. Luis Arce, the current president, was elected. He's from Evo Morales' party, from the Movement Towards Socialism party, and he has been in place since then. However, there's been lots of tension within the armed forces, tension between the armed forces and the current administration, mostly because of what I'm saying right now. Evo Morales continues to be a powerful force in Bolivia. He is disliked among many units within Colombia's armed forces. He was expressing his will of becoming Bolivia's next president once again. And this is when the current general that we're seeing in action right now said that if Evo Morales tries to do something like that, he would be going against the constitution, that he has already been Bolivia's president. He's been banned from running once again. And this generated lots of discontent within the current administration, within Evo Morales' party. And that's what we're hearing, is that the current general had been summoned to the presidential palace where he was going to be removed. And this is what we're seeing next. The general with armed forces, heavily armed, trying to enter the presidential palace. In fact, they entered the presidential palace and the government denouncing a coup.
And Teresa, this is, of course, a developing situation. The information is only coming in now. I'll just explain for our audience what they are looking at. Are live pictures from Bolivia TV as we get these reports out of Bolivia. The president is warning of irregular movement of troops in the capital. We're starting to see some reaction coming in from the Organization of the American States. That's the OAS. Luis Almagro is condemning the events in Bolivia and noting that the army must submit itself to the legitimately elected civil power. Teresa, what other reaction are we hearing so far?
Well, we're starting to see reactions from several countries in Latin America. Many people are looking right now, and most countries, the leaders of most countries and in Latin America in general, they're looking at the images coming from Bolivia in shock. This is something that we had not seen in years. The military on the streets in front of the plaza entering a presidential palace. It's not clear yet where the president...
I feel like I've seen it a few times.
But we're waiting to hear much
maybe not in Bolivia.
Reactions from different leaders around the region. But it's important that the OAS is saying that the democratic order should be reestablished, that
had a good handful, at least, since the Troll Patrol's been on.
Let's not forget that Luis Arce was elected as Bolivia's president back in 2020. And as I said before, it's not clear yet where the president is.
And Teresa, as we'll just keep explaining this situation, heavily armed soldiers and armoured vehicles seen gathering at the capital's Plaza Murillo. We've also heard from the former president, Evo Morales, who has accused the military general Juan José Zúñiga of trying to stage a coup, and also noted on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, that we will not allow the armed forces to violate democracy and intimidate people. Teresa, how significant is the voice of the former president? Teresa, do we still have connection?
We hung up on Teresa.
It appears that we have lost connection with our correspondent, Teresa Bo, in Argentina. Just to recap this breaking news story, Bolivia's president has slammed the irregular mobilization of army units. This is a developing situation, and we will endeavor to bring you more updates as we get more information.
Don't cry for her. She's in Argentina.
And we will endeavor to speak with sources in Bolivia as well. For now, we will move on to other news.
But you were seeing the live pictures out of Bolivia, where apparently a coup is indeed taking place. That was definitely an irregular mobilization of forces that apparently the president does not have control of. We also got a similar thing going on in Kenya. Riots work, people. I might be on the side of neon vests and work boots.
Kenya's President William Ruto has decided to withdraw a controversial finance bill following violent protests in the country. That bill would have raised taxes to help the government lower its foreign debt. According to the Kenya Medical Association, at least 23 people were killed during the protests. You see some of that here. Ruto announced he would not sign the bill during an address to the nation earlier today.
Listening keenly to the people of Kenya, who have said loudly that they want nothing to do with this Finance Bill 2024, I concede, and therefore I will not sign the 2024 Finance Bill, and it shall subsequently be withdrawn.
The 2024
Usher with our
Finance
BBC
Bill
joins us now from Nairobi.
He had a rough night.
More on this. It's a stunning turn of events. Mass protests on Tuesday, the president withdrawing his initiative by Wednesday. How are people responding to that?
It is a very dramatic course reversal. And it was triggered, I think, by the deadly violence yesterday, because Mr. Ruto has been quite firm in his decision to stick with the bill, even though there have been demonstrations against it and a lot of opposition in Kenya. But with
Nairobi
the
looks like
results
a
of the
fucking
protests
cool
yesterday,
city.
police opening fire on protesters who stormed the parliament, more than 20 killed. I think there's been quite a lot of backlash against that, and we were getting to some pretty dark tensions here in the country.
Pink water cannons.
Step back. How people are responding? Well, the protesters have a plan to protest tomorrow. That was supposed to be to prevent Mr. Ruto from signing the bill. Now he's not going to do so. But we've had some initial reaction on social media from prominent activists who've kind of dismissed the measure. They've said things like, this is a PR stunt. You know, we're not going to get our dead back. He can't be trusted. He's got an agenda. We'll still be out on the streets. So one would have thought this would diffuse things at least somewhat. But it does seem amongst some of the protesters there is still a determination to go out on the streets.
So a determination by protesters, but it seems like there is a certain level of suspicion as well.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
What does this do for the issue the president was trying to address in hitting the country's
Do it politically.
What's the expectation on that front?
Well, Well, you know, Mr. Ruto was quite clear about his rationale for the finance bill. He said these taxes were necessary to, again, to fund the deficit, to lower the debt. He also said that the money would have been used for development programs for farmers and teachers and students. So he went into quite a clear defense.
Maybe do it on TikTok.
Then he said, but clearly the people are not behind me, and therefore there would have to be a certain amount of austerity. But he said there should be a national dialogue with the young people, but also with various institutions to discuss how to do it. I think, you know, there was quite a strong opposition to the tax increases, not just from the young people on the street, but from the church, from social institutions, even from some businesses who were sort of counseling.
The youngs.
These were quite drastic tax increases. And there was also quite a strong reaction to the violence yesterday, again, from religious and social organizations, but also from Kenya's international partners.
Good evening.
Restraint. So I think all of this together caused him to finally step back from the tax bill. But he did say he was still committed to have Kenya being fiscally responsible, getting sovereignty over its assets and so on. The way forward, though, how it's going to do that is not clear.
All right, all of this not over yet. Barbara Plett, Usher, thanks for being across all of it for us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Barbara. The riots in Kenya worked. So we should probably riot here in the U.S. to get a change of policy with regards to Israel. Israel had an airstrike that killed a Doctors Without Borders staffer who was just biking to work.
Without Borders says another staffer was killed by an airstrike in Gaza. This follows UN officials warning Israel that they will stop aid operations across Gaza if Israel doesn't do a better job of protecting humanitarian workers.
I feel like that's what Israel wants.
Assessment says nearly half of the Palestinians in Gaza are facing, quote, catastrophic levels of hunger throughout.
Minty, good evening.
CBS News foreign correspondent MTS Tayyab joins us now with television.
The UN's like, oh, we'll stop aid to Gaza, and Israel's like, oh no, we wouldn't want that. We're not trying to mass starve a fucking population over here. Jesus Christ.
With more on all of
Hayes, good evening.
What are we learning about the death of this Doctors Without Borders staffer in Gaza City?
Yeah, hey, Errol. Well, we've heard from Doctors Without Borders. They've identified him. His name is Fadi Al-Wadia. He was killed along with 5 other people, including 3 children, as he cycled to work
senseless.
The MSF clinic that he was working at in Gaza.
And children.
3 years old. He was working as a physiotherapist, and he is now the 6th staff member for MSF, or Doctors Without Borders, who have been killed since the October 7th attacks. But when we consider just the sheer number of doctors, nurses, healthcare workers, humanitarians who have been killed across Gaza in the nearly 10 months of brutal war,
I feel like that's a war crime.
Is staggering. Of course, the number of hospitals, which also just no longer exist anymore. It is a perfect storm for what humanitarian workers are calling a humanitarian catastrophe upon catastrophe. Now, as you've been saying, the United
I feel like that's an understatement.
Basically been saying that if Israel does not do more to protect humanitarian workers, they will have to suspend the limited help that they're giving Palestinian civilians now, and that would be incredibly devastating for those innocent civilians. Or Errol, excuse me.
And MTS, you've done
do more to protect them. They are legitimately targeting them. It's not like a accident that they killed this staffer.
Solid job, as all of our correspondents have, in
5 other people
bringing into stock relief the humanitarian crisis that Palestinians in Gaza are facing. The UN now says nearly 500,000 of them face starvation. How dire is the situation now, and what's being done to prevent it, considering humanitarian aid organizations face their own challenges?
Yeah. You know, it's always hard to use numbers, but I'll give you some, because behind every number is a name, is a person, is somebody who's had a whole life. But we are at the numbers. 34 children have died of malnutrition in Gaza that we know of. That number is likely far, far higher, but because of the situation in Gaza, it's incredibly difficult to record the deaths of those children who have died from starvation. But we have heard from the United Nations who say that 50,000 children, in their words, are in urgent need of malnutrition, or rather treatment for acute malnutrition. 50,000 children. And then that, of course, that staggering number of around 500,000 people who are facing hunger on a very serious level and a very serious scale, I should say. Now, very quickly, Errol, we were on the humanitarian pier that the U.S. constructed, President Biden ordered, cost $230 million. It was supposed to, in the words of the president, flood Gaza with aid, but we've only really seen a trickle of aid get into Gaza. In fact,
apparently the pier is working.
That pier has been operational. It's been offline for most of it because of repairs and damages that it's needed. Only around 400 or so trucks have made it in. And when you consider before the October 7th attacks, 500 aid trucks would get into Gaza every single day, it is barely scratching the surface. Errol.
It's just become operational again in the last day or so. I thought they had just scrapped it, but no. Julian Assange is a free man as of earlier today. He arrived in Australia. He pled guilty in one of our consulates somewhere else.
How does it feel to be a free man, Mr. Assange? WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is now walking free after pleading guilty to violating
Mariana Islands
law. Assange pleaded guilty from a court on the U.S. Pacific Island territory of Saipan. His release ends a 14-year legal saga in which Assange spent more than 5 years in a British high-security prison and 7 years in asylum at the Ecuadorian embassy in London, battling extradition to the United States, where he faced 18 criminal charges.
He's hugging Stella. Oh, Stella there? Yeah, he's hugging her now. Oh. He picked her up in the air. Kissed her on the cheek, kissed her on the mouth.
It took millions of
What bullshit?
It took people working behind the scenes, people protesting on the streets for days and weeks and months and years. And we achieved it.
Yeah, this should have happened a long time ago. Thanks, Obama.
Wanted me to sincerely thank everyone. He wanted to be here. But you have to understand what he's been through. He needs time. He needs to recuperate. And this is a process. I ask you, please, to give us space, to give us privacy, to find our place, to let our family be a family before he can speak again at a time of his choosing.
It's important that journalists all around the world understand the dangerous precedent that this prosecution has set. An award-winning Australian journalist who's been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for these publications has spent more than 5 years in a high-security prison because of this extradition request from the United States. This is a huge win for Australia and for Australian democracy. This is a huge win for free speech. This is a huge win for Australia that our Prime Minister stood up to our ally, the United States, and demanded the return of an Australian citizen.
His arrival home ends a long-running legal process. He described it as a surreal and happy moment. He's landing here in our national capital, Canberra.
That is the cherry on the top of a very, very handsome birthday cake, you know. that Julian can
Julian
come
Assange's
home
dad.
to Australia and see his family regularly and do the ordinary things of life is a treasure. I mean, life measured amongst the beauty of the ordinary is the essence of life.
Yeah, it's cold in Canberra, but I've got to brave the cold because
He thought Trump would get him off.
So
It was Trump's DOJ that indicted him.
when he got off the plane, he saw the people were behind him and he had support. I think it was important that a small group of people came here.
He thought he could trust the fascists.
Oh, it's great news. Obviously, it's just been way too long. I feel he's just been held accountable for more, and in hindsight, he's been punished more than what he needed to be. So, you know, it's great news for him. It's great news.
That's true too.
It's great news for all of the supporters in Australia. I think everybody wanted to see this and wanted to see it a long time ago.
But like apparently like he was a bad house guest to the Ecuadorian embassy and shit. He was really sloppy. He was a pig. The Rapidan? I'm probably saying it wrong. I'm absolutely saying it wrong. Rapidan Dam in Minnesota partially collapsed, and apparently a house close to it was sucked in. We got some wild ass video to watch.
Across our state of 10,000 lakes, they seem to turn into one giant puddle.
I mean,
here.
case in point here. This morning, we're going to show you the impacts of the historic flooding from all the way north in St. Louis County, all the way down to Mankato and Faribault and every place in between, where state leaders have spent the week surveying the massive amounts of devastation.
And near the Rapidan Dam, which is along
Rapidan.
the river, that's just south of Mankato here, new drone footage shows us the moment that one home went underwater. So people in the area, they
Bragwitz, good evening.
watched last night that fast-running river. You could see how long this white house right here could stand. You could see how the river is making its way around the dam, so it's eroding the ground beneath the house. And it didn't take long for that erosion to
Yeah, right there. I mean, it happens so fast. The White House gives in. It tipped over the edge of the cliff as you watch it again here, and then makes a big splash into the river.
Torchy.
We could
Fuck.
go in there and getting pie. I mean, do a route, get a Pepsi, get a little ice cream, and used to go play in the river down there.
Yeah, I mean, lots of memories. So the question remaining for this 114-year-old dam is, does it stay or does it go?
To take this thing out was like going to be $81 million. To fix it would be like $15 million.
Officials are optimistic the dam itself will hold. If it doesn't, the Public Works Director says it could cause big environmental problems. They're expected to tell us more about that house collapse later this morning.
God
Meanwhile, the
damn.
Mississippi River near St. Paul has risen to major flood
You
stage.
can see parts of Harriet Island underwater this morning. Officials say that the worst, though, is still yet to come. Pauline Lee joining us live this morning from St. Paul.
The worst is yet to
With a closer
come.
look at the rising Mississippi there, Pauline.
Yeah, it's just incredible, right? If you guys take a look behind me, you see off into the distance, that's the pavilion right there. If you're familiar with this area, you know the Mississippi runs behind it, not in front of it. All that water you see in front, that is all flooding. Now, at last checked earlier this morning, the river has risen more than a foot from where it was this time yesterday morning. National Water Prediction Service reports the river now at more than 17.6 feet high. Anything over 17 is considered major flood stage, and the Mississippi is expected to rise another 4 feet or so, potentially cresting sometime this weekend. Crews in the capital city now bracing for the full impact of the rising waters as they block off more roads and trails and pile on those sandbags to more structures to help prevent the water from seeping in. Some people here say they were caught by surprise as to how fast the water has risen.
It's just crazy. Me and my friend went for a walk 5 days ago, and you could see, we could park in this parking lot. We drove over here, and it's just crazy how much it's risen in just 5 days.
Now, those rising waters means some businesses have had to make that tough decision to close temporarily. Coming up in about half an hour or so, we'll tell you who's open, who's not, and who's trying to hang on, guys.
Yeah, lots of good information. Pauline Lee, live in St. Paul. Pauline, we'll check in with you a little bit later. Thank you. Well, as rivers continue to crest, volunteers in Minnesota are answering the call, stepping up to help and clean up.
On the ground, about 25 Salvation Army volunteers are spread out across the state. They are serving 400 meals every day up north in St. Louis County. And further south, Faribault, the American Red Cross is also manning 6 shelters and a temporary evacuation point for those who have been displaced.
Why the cops have those tank things?
That might be impacted for the flood is to let them know to call 211 so that they know the resources out in the communities. The biggest thing to remember for these communities is when you show up is to first be an ear. Never assume what somebody else needs. Ask.
Now, you can help these safe shelters by donating online at redcross.org or calling 1-800-RED-CROSS. In Waterville, the city has set up an account at Franston Bank and Trust. You can donate online or you can mail a check.
There is some good news out of St. Louis County up north this morning. Water levels continue to come down. Storms have caused devastating damage. They did it the last week. More than 1,500 damage points have been recorded throughout the county. St. Louis County Public Works crews completed repairs. That way they could reopen more than a dozen roads, even as the county is still in a state of public emergency.
Now, flooding is causing some health concerns, and later today, a meeting could help you determine if your water is contaminated. Health officials say that if you have a
This is a plug for some kind of water filter. Thanks, Frank Reynolds. Minnesota is not the only state. It's all over the Midwest. Historic flooding.
Catastrophic flooding across the Midwest. In South Dakota, neighborhoods off the Big Sioux River are unrecognizable, with streets completely caved in and people unable to access their homes. Some cars washed away, others are teetering on the edge of those collapsed roads. And the water is still gushing. In Minnesota, entire communities are submerged.
We literally watched our childhood wash over the bank. Trees, buildings.
Residents near Mankato are bracing for the possible failure of the Rapidan Dam.
Rapidan Dam.
That's our life.
Jenny Barnes grew up here. Her father and brother live in this house by the river.
We're hanging in there. Our house is hanging by a thread.
It's not just their home they're worried about. The family has owned the Dam Store for more than 50 years.
The Dam Store.
Worry about the most.
The store, we know the house is gone. We know we'll never be able to go back in that house.
But let's keep the Dam Store. That's the main goal. But
that's our business.
If you're just joining us, we watched that house go into the river earlier. This is from last night, probably. Yeah, this is from last night, and I played the video from like earlier today.
Iowa, the water levels are going down. Residents aren't out of the woods yet. Shaquille Brewster is there.
24 hours ago, this road was completely flooded. The water here is clearly receding, but you see the Big Sioux River is still at historic levels.
Rich and Amy evacuated their mother overnight.
How weird is it to be this close to the house but not able to access it?
Devastating. Very, very, devastating is a good word. Devastating.
It's right there.
It's
within
fucking.
Reach, but it's not within reach.
What is up with this NBC News reporter? He's taunting them like, your house is right there, but you can't get to it. Look, you can touch it, but you can't go in it. What do you think about that? Do you dance in front of crippled kids too?
With a strong line.
This close to the house but not able to access it.
Teasing them.
Very, very, devastating is a good word. Devastating.
It's right there.
It's within reach, but it's not within reach.
With a strong line of thunderstorms already wreaking havoc across Michigan.
It's right there.
More rain is set to return here by the end of the week.
Adrian, that's a dramatic backdrop we're looking
at. Lester.
But I know there are still dangers out there.
Lester, that's right. And city officials are pleading with people to stay away from the rushing water. Folks have been trying to get pictures of this scene all day. Officials say even though the ground looks
Fargles, good evening.
Not, and officials warn if someone were to accidentally fall in, there's no way first responders could go in for a rescue.
Thanks for watching.
Shut up, Lester.
About breaking news and top stories.
Oh, God. We had high winds in Oklahoma City. I think it's the Oklahoma that's in Oklahoma. Oh, this is. I think it's the Oklahoma City that's in Oklahoma. Pretty sure.
Powerful winds caused widespread damage and power outages in Oklahoma City. From the air, you can see the damage to roofs on a number of buildings there. All that debris just piled up. They've got trees and power poles blown down across the city. Thankfully, no serious injuries were reported, but power was out to about 50,000 customers shortly after the storms, and the heat index climbed above 100 degrees today.
Don't I know it? Hot goddamn. When we come back, we're going to talk about, I got the giggles. This pot's good. The Supreme Court accidentally posted one of their opinions online. A Hindu man wants to display Indian scriptures inside of Louisiana's classrooms. We're going to cover the primary from last night. Lauren Boebert won. We're going to talk about the debate that's coming up tomorrow night. J.D. Vance is going to tell us why he shouldn't be VP. I got all kinds of crazy crime stories. Torchy, I got a fantastic New Jersey story. A truck plowed through several backyards. We've got video of it. So we got to take a break on Twitch. Get the commercials out of the way. We play the 3 minutes. Nobody misses any content. I'm gonna pack another bong. We gonna get high. We'll see you guys on the other side of the break. Yeah. I gotta refill my drink. That's the thing that's gotta happen. Other than that, I'm with you guys. I peed right before the show. Got some swag. That reminds me of Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's trying. He bought some swag off of somebody, and he's talking to the prostitute that he had sit in the passenger seat so he could drive in the carpool lane. He's like, you don't even know what swag is. Toads. I guess I'm good. I think I'm good. Everything good. Tracer got me this shirt for my birthday. It's really cool. I assume swag means like brickweed. Am I correct in assuming that? Well, clinically. Same wavelength here. Okay. So I haven't even seen brickweed. God. Okay. That used to be like all I could get when I first started smoking in like the backwoods of Eastern Kentucky in 2000, 2001, all the way up to 2005, 2006. And then pretty much everywhere started having like, good bud. The first time I ever had good bud was when I went to college, and that shit blew my mind. It was like 20 a gram too, but it blew you out of the water. Mexican brown. Well, they called it brickweed. Hold on, let me refill my drink. Everybody be back for commercial. Dirtweed. I've heard it called that a lot. So my dad had this big blue. It was a grinder. Well, it wasn't really a grinder. It was like a separator. It had like a little thing on the inside, and it would separate your bud from your, the really fucking pressed shit. I guess you'd cut it up, and then you'd fucking roll it in this thing, and it would separate the seeds and the stems and shit. Well, so as I said, like in 2006, 2007, just like it seemed like everybody had good weed from that point on that I was around. I moved to outside of Virginia Tech, outside of Blacksburg, Virginia, and they had fantastic fucking weed there. And then I moved down to Kingsport, Tennessee, and they had fantastic weed there. And I was living with Crack Horse. She knew where to get good fucking weed. And so then, like, I go to college in Johnson City, Tennessee. Fucking good weed everywhere. Everybody had good weed. I moved to Alabama, and I don't even remember how I met this girl, but she was a cam girl. Oh, I can't even remember what her name is now. But I really liked her. I ended up hooking up with her a couple of times, like years later. But like I somehow got in touch with her through somehow, and she was like one of the only people that I knew, and she lived over in like, I guess you would call it the projects. So I go over and I've got like $120. I got like $180 or something. Like I'm expected to buy like some weed. Like, you know, depending on what it is, you know, fucking really good, give me a half ounce of it, you know, whatever it costs. But I got plenty of money on me. And she's like, all right, I can get you some. And I was like, how much do you want? And I'm like, well, I mean, I got, like, you know, what's it going to cost? She's like, $50, I can get you an ounce. And I'm like, what? And that's what it was. It was some fucking dirt weed. That is the last time I've seen some dirt weed. And then not long after that, this is when Craigslist was still a thing, and I think I hooked up with this. She had to have used to be a stripper, or still was a stripper. She totally looked like it. I don't, not to be judgmental or anything, but like this is totally cool. But like her and her boyfriend, like her boyfriend was bisexual, and I hooked up with them, and it was a really fun night. And then after that, he sold me weed, and he ran like a repair shop, like a window repair shop. Like he'd come and repair your windshield and shit. And he could do like other things for you, like roadside assistance kind of deal. And he took credit card and everything. Fucking, you could call him to fucking like get you to bring weed. And it was the best fucking weed that I ever had in my fucking life. And it was really expensive. It was like $120 a quarter. Yeah, it was $120 a quarter. That's what it was. I was like, God damn, that's a lot to pay for weed. But it was the best shit I've ever smoked in my life. It was so fucking good. And twice I hooked up with people. And I told them, I was like, I'm a stoner. I smoke 24/7. This is the best weed I've ever smoked. Be careful with it. And twice women accused me of lacing it with something. And I'm like, I didn't lace it. I told you it was the best. I warned you. I was like, I am a stoner. It is the best weed I've ever smoked in my life. It was just that strong. And one of them was like it was like the oldest woman I'd ever been with. She was like 67, 68 years old or something. Had a wild night with her. And she smoked that weed. Like, who knows what she had been smoking, right? She might have been smoking some fucking dirt weed. Might have been like the Louis C.K. thing. Hasn't smoked weed in fucking 20 years. Didn't know they've been working on it like it's the cure for cancer. Taking fucking big 70s fucking hits on it. Like, you may want to watch yourself. Oh. Anyway, you came to me for news, not for rambling. Law Dog, what is going on, my friend? Law Dog, came in just in time to talk about some law going down. The Supreme Court earlier today pulled a whoopsie. This is not the first time something like this has happened.
It may be the highest court in the land, but it's not above pressing send by accident. Bloomberg reported on Wednesday that the U.S. Supreme Court briefly posted to its website a ruling that would allow abortions to be performed in Idaho in cases of medical emergencies. The post was then quickly removed. A court spokesperson said in a statement that a document was, quote, inadvertently and briefly uploaded to the court's website, and that the opinion in the case will be issued in due course. According to the Bloomberg report, the decision would effectively reinstate a lower court's ruling that Idaho's near-total abortion ban must yield to a 1986 U.S. law known as the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, or EMTALA, when the two statutes conflict. EMTALA ensures that patients can receive emergency care at hospitals that receive funding under the federal Medicare program. And the U.S. Justice Department turned to EMTALA to protect abortion access after the Supreme Court overturned the right to terminate a pregnancy nationwide in 2022. Here's Attorney General Merrick Garland.
It does not matter what state a hospital subject to EMTALA operates in. If a patient comes into the emergency room with a medical emergency, jeopardizing the patient's life or health, the hospital must provide the treatment necessary to stabilize that patient.
According to Bloomberg, the court's vote in the Idaho case was 6-3, with conservative justices Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch in dissent. The development on Wednesday marked the second time in 2 years that a major Supreme Court ruling on abortion has been disclosed before being formally issued by the justices. In May 2022, Politico obtained a leaked draft of a ruling penned by Justice Samuel Alito that overturned the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade precedent. The culprit behind that leak has never been identified.
Well, what do they stand to gain this time by leaking this? Was it a liberal justice staffer trying to ensure that, there's like none of the... They're saying Coney Barrett fucking ruled the correct way. It's insanity that this is where we're at, yes. Hillary Clinton says that... No, I'm sorry, not Hillary. I was so excited. Might as well be. Nancy Pelosi says that the Supreme Court has gone... Let me do that again. Hold on. Speaker Emeritus of the House, Nancy Pelosi, says that the Supreme Court has gone rogue.
The mother and grandfather of Jocelyn Nungari joined Sean Hannity last night. Jocelyn is the 13-year-old girl who was murdered, allegedly, by two migrants in Texas. Watch this.
She was going to...
It was a felony.
She was going to do things. And these men, these illegal men, took that opportunity from my daughter, from our family, of watching her become this amazing person. This has got to stop.
We're going to have to stream the debate on Kick and D-Live. Apparently they're coming after streamers, and I got to be on my best behavior, having just got my Twitch back.
We have to stop burying our kids.
These people, you don't wake up one day and decide that you're going to commit this horrific crime. We need a safer country.
Martha McCallum joins us here in New York this morning.
I'm sorry, I didn't know we were doing kid murder. I probably would have hit the content warning. Usually kid murder is later. Boy, do I have a doozy for you tonight. Speaking of kid murder out of Florida. Holy shit.
Martha, I think migrant crime, I repeat, migrant crime will be a very big issue in the face-off tomorrow night.
I think it will, and I think that if it's not brought up, it will be brought up by former President Trump time and time again. He has talked about...
That's what I was thinking clinically.
Crime. We now have this list of young women. You have Laken Riley, you have Jocelyn Nungary, you have the 13-year-old girl in Queens who lost her life. You have Rachel Morin.
Disgusting fodder.
So I would imagine that that is the way that the former president brings this back, because I'm sure that you're right, that the opening salvo from President Biden will be that these numbers are down 40%. But the obvious retort to that is, where have you been for the past 3.5 years? To which he will say, Republicans blocked me in Congress. But go back and remember what Mayorkas said. The Department of Homeland Security is making a big splash this afternoon in Tucson to announce these numbers. But he proudly said, on day one, we reversed so many Trump border policies that I can't even name them all for you here. And I would just add this. Why not implement the policies that they wanted while not reversing all the things that were working? I mean, that's just a logical approach to things when you take over something new, is to figure out what's working.
Krill, good evening.
Throw it out with the bathwater, and that's not what we've seen, so it's going to be interesting.
That's very
He
true.
couldn't have been tortured at the Fulton County Jail.
There's an attack on the Supreme Court. Former House Speaker...
And we've also got a monkey hammer saying he was treated well by the staff.
No, I think they've gone rogue. It's most unfortunate. But it's unfortunate further to see what the other justice, what happened to the Chief Justice? Did he go weak or did he go rogue? I don't know.
Martha, is there a concerted effort to delegitimize by Democrats the Supreme Court?
Absolutely. I mean, there's hundreds of millions of dollars in private money that is going to keep this abortion issue front and center. And this is the ways that you see it manifest itself in these attacks on the court. It's so interesting to me because this same court that she's talking about just upheld mifepristone, which is the pill that is used in more than 60% of abortions in this country. The other number that I've been digging into, and what I've found so far, is that the number of abortions actually has not dropped since Dobbs. So
Stuart Varney, his voice.
People need to pay attention.
He's one of the least offensive people on
Fox.
Fox.
Very telling. Kamala Harris went after.
But low bar.
Pelosi said, if they have a point of view about abortion, that's fine, that they're right, but they can't advocate for a point of view, the justices. But that's not what happened.
That's not what happened. No.
They decided that a long-held debate that there was nothing in the Constitution that protected abortion, made sure that this was going to go back to the
That's
state.
what I like about him.
Has played out, and in a number of states, Ohio, Kansas, abortion rights have been upheld by the people who are closest to that decision, and that is what the Supreme Court wanted to have the environment be.
But the court's doing the right thing.
I don't even know what in the fuck they're trying to argue. And the court did do the right thing on that specific question. But like it shouldn't even be a question. Right-wingers always doing stupid shit, like in Louisiana, where they passed a law that you gotta display the 10 Commandments in classrooms. A spokesperson of the Hindu community is seeking to have ancient Sanskrit scriptures displayed in public classrooms alongside the 10 Commandments. On Wednesday, Governor Jeff Landry signed a law that requires each public classroom, starting from kindergarten to state-funded universities in Louisiana, to display the 10 Commandments. The president of the Universal Society of Hinduism, Rajan Zed, said in a statement that the Bhagavad Gita, or the Gita, was a historically significant document and he believes is a treasure that should be displayed in public school classrooms. The Gita is recognized as a poem in India and used as spiritual guidance, according to Britannica. Fucking the local news station citing Britannica. Zed states the Hindu community would cover the cost of the 11 by 14 posters, and no funding from the state or school would be required. The Hindu statesman noted that multiple prominent Americans were influenced by the Gita, including philosopher Henry David Thoreau, physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, philosopher Aldous Huxley, and physicist Albert Einstein. Zed believes that increasing the awareness of other religions would make classrooms in Louisiana well-nurtured, well-balanced, and enlightened citizens of tomorrow. I will give that a rowdy amen. We lost a good one last night. By a significant margin, too. George Latimer, who, by the way, I put him on the thumbnail for the show tonight. I did not purposely get a shitty picture of him. There is no picture that's not shitty of George Latimer. Like, his eyes always look like he is some shifty, underhanded piece of shit. I didn't purposely go out of my way to find a picture of them that look like it. They just all look like that. This was my first choice, but I couldn't. It was too small. Like, look at the way he looks. There's been the whole debate on Twitter of like whether AIPAC had a hand in it or not. Like, surely of course AIPAC and the money they spent had a hand in it.
New York, Colorado, Utah, and South Carolina went to the polls to vote in their primary elections.
The results of local races are painting a hazy
like 12, 13 million. It was 24.
And control of Congress. Fox's Rebecca Castor has the recap from Washington.
Remember this guy who pulled the fire alarm at a Capitol building? That's Congressman Jamal Bowman. And New York
that didn't help him.
Just handed him a major loss.
Now, our opponents, not opponent, may have won this round at this time in this place. But this will be a battle for our humanity and justice for the rest of our lives.
Bowman is the first member of the far-left squad to be ousted.
Tyler, good evening.
His district chose to put up a more moderate Democrat for November's election.
We have to look at the argument.
Look at him.
Right in the far left and say, you cannot destroy this country with your rhetoric and your arguments.
I'm going to give Tyler a shout out for me.
Boebert of Colorado has nearly secured her return to D.C. She's one of the most controversial.
Oh, no, I've got Boebert over here. Well, I was expecting to hear more from Latimer, but they really cut him off. All you need to know is he looks like a shifty bastard. I got Boebert from last night giving her victory speech.
Glory to God! Glory to God! You guys are absolutely amazing. I wanted to see some more numbers come in. You know, I've seen lots of videos of folks riding bikes or having foot races, and they see that finish line and they start rejoicing and slow up, and then the opponent passes.
I'm not enough for this shit.
As I said, our priority here is to honor and glorify God, to honor those who have fought for our great nation, to preserve our freedoms, because we truly live in the greatest nation this world has ever seen. America.
So it was about 12, 13. That's what I thought it was.
And I'm so excited
AIPAC spent on Latimer. That was just AIPAC.
to be a part of it with me. I'm happy to be alongside of you in this fight as your next Congresswoman from Colorado's 4th District. The left-wing media is going to have all sorts of things to say. You know, maybe I'm a percentage point lower than what they think I should have got. and they say, oh no, she's
I fucking love you. I'm glad you're a thing.
Democrats saying that they can defeat me. We know the people who are here in this district. We know this is a Republican district. We know we have work to do, and we know that we are going to have a landslide victory November.
The district might go blue. He was going to lose to a Democrat in her other district.
You know, and if any of you are talking to folks about me and you have trouble saying my last name, just please, if you say Bobbitt, don't say Lorena. Remember, I'm not French. Just because I don't know who my dad is doesn't mean I don't know I'm not French. Bobert.
That's fucking funny. I'm so glad that she's a real thing. No reaction from the crowd. I'm the only one laughing. She doesn't know who her dad is. There was a whole thing that she thought her dad was Sweet Stan Lane of the Midnight Express. They met up and they took a paternity test like in 2020, 2021, and he's not the dad. So there's a whole like Jim Cornette's podcast. He was the manager of the Midnight Express. There's like his co-host asking about Lauren Boebert. Apparently had come forward before she was a congressperson. Like she came forward in like 2010, 2011 or something like that, before she was on the national scene, and said that Sweet Stan Lane was her dad. And so then like she brought it up again after, she became famous and shit. And Brian asked Jim about it. And Brian starts laying out the timeline and shit. And like Jim's like, oh, because Stan Lane would have been in Florida around that time. And he actually skipped out on Florida because he had a woman trying to claim that he had a child with her. Dustin, good evening. So she doesn't know who her dad is, and it's not Sweet Stan Lane.
You know, and if any of you are talking to folks about me and you have trouble saying my last name, just please, if you say Bobbitt, don't say Lorena. Remember, I'm not French. Just because I don't know who my dad is doesn't mean I don't know I'm not French. Bobert.
Didn't even make any sense.
Right now is the time for us to educate the people that are around us, to have fun, and to take the lead in joy.
Boobert.
Serious in our efforts. We can be serious in the fights to come.
I can be serious for a minute.
Happy, joyful warriors, because God has given us a weapon, and that weapon is what gives us our strength. That weapon is called joy, and that joy is not a suggestion. It is a battle plan.
Yeah, she's a little person.
Into victory.
She'd be adorable if she wasn't a crazy-ass congressperson.
God called us to fight the good fight.
She said God like 20 times.
Battles ahead, not just one. There are many. We need to get engaged at the local level and begin to take our state back. And we have to stay informed and never be lulled to sleep by the enemy again. Don't ever let anyone say that your voice doesn't matter, that your vote does not count, because it absolutely does. And we live in the greatest country where people have fought and died for your right to vote and participate in who is sent to represent you. I want to say,
you get choked up.
As of the last time I looked at my phone, who called me to congratulate me, and I want to thank Commissioner Jerry Sonnenberg for his humbleness.
So
Heart throughout
that was Lauren Boebert from last night during her acceptance speech. She made jokes about a woman who cut off her husband's dick. And also about how she doesn't know who her daddy is. It was a wild primary night that also saw several Trump-backed candidates lose their races. Ain't French.
Turn back now to last night's primaries. And several Trump-backed candidates lost their races last night, potentially raising the question of just how valuable the former president's endorsement may be. For instance, Trump endorsed a replacement for Senator Mitt Romney's seat, but Republican voters in Utah picked a Trump skeptic instead. To be clear, Trump has never been particularly popular in Utah.
No.
In South Carolina, a nurse practitioner and Air National Guard officer defeated her Trump-backed challenger in the state's GOP's primary in the 3rd congressional district there. And in Colorado, the Trump-backed candidate running for the state's 5th district.
Hold on. MILF, good evening. 10% leprechaun. Several Trump-backed candidates lost last night.
GOP's primary in the 3rd congressional district there. And in Colorado, the Trump-backed candidate running for the state's 5th district lost his race by 30 points last night. Joining us now to help us make sense of it, MSNBC political analyst.
That was 3. They gave 3 examples.
Strategist and former aide to House Speakers Ryan and Boehner. So, Brendan, what do we make of this?
I always have to be skeptical of any MSNBC kind of content because there's a lot of, like, telling liberals what they want to hear kind of shit, right? So, like, ooh, you want to make a big deal about Trump-backed candidates losing. But we were only able to name 3. Fair enough, there were 3 somewhat high profile. Yeah, they amazingly enough, we did not get a book plug, but it's probably coming at the end. It's always a book plug. I'm more interested to hop over here to Fox News. Apparently we're going back to Stuart Varney. Stuart Varney had a good show today. Glitch, good evening. Stuart Varney has on a former BLM protester. That just means he's black, by the way, to the Fox News audience. Who says that he's going to vote for Trump.
But that support is slipping. One young voter told Fox why she left the Democrat Party behind. Watch this.
I grew up in this social media culture that was very dominated.
Is she an influencer?
Wing propaganda, for lack of a better word. I accepted it wholeheartedly. I loved it. I was very into it until I started to come out of it and realize that a lot of what I believed was very emotional and not really based in logic or fact.
All right, let's bring in Amir Odom, a social media influencer. Amir, you have a similar story. You went from marching with Black Lives Matter to shaking Donald Trump's hand. How did that happen?
Yes, thank you for having me. So pretty much growing
Is money being a token?
I was always a liberal. And then in 2017, I went to a couple of Black Lives Matter rallies and it's very emotional, crying in the streets, the whole 9. Later that fall, went on a date with somebody and they were just questioning me on why I felt the way I felt. Why did I hate the police? Why did I stand with Black Lives Matter? And in that moment, I realized I wasn't thinking for my.
Sir, if you asked me why I hated the police, I would give you a laundry list. I'm like, which police department would you like me to start with? Let me go over my favorite fucking examples. I got 10 right off the top of my fucking head. So, I mean, ask me why I hate the police. I will tell you.
Myself. I really didn't know why I felt the way I felt. I was just regurgitating headlines that I was seeing on CNN or Twitter, whatever it may be, regarding race relations in the United States.
CNN wasn't telling you to hate the police.
That person led me down he led me down a path to watch a couple of different YouTube videos on different people like Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, the whole line.
What in particular do you like about Trump?
In particular,
okay, was this guy on a date? And was this guy seen like a muscular jock fucking Trumpy gay guy? Is that what, because he says he.
it may be regarding race relations in the United States. So that person led me down he led me down a path to watch a couple of different YouTube videos on different people like Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, the whole nine.
What in particular do you like?
Here, what's Charlie Kirk?
In particular, I was in time. I was just very curious about him. I was always being told to hate him, but I didn't really understand why I had to hate him. I did like how bold he was. I like how I knew what he was feeling and his opinions and how upfront he was. And so at that time, that's the only thing that I really liked.
Wait a minute. So he left the left and BLM because it was all about feelings and emotions. And the reason he likes Trump is because he knows what he's feeling.
And you are going to vote for it?
Perfect sense.
Yeah, I am.
Thanks very much for coming on the show today, Amir. We like to have all kinds of different points.
That's all it was, hey, let's have a black person come on Fox and say they're voting for Trump. That's exactly what that was. Oh my God. Shameless. Here's your stage for tomorrow night. I still don't really know what's going to happen. I hate it. It's ugly. Gaudy as fuck. The debate is tomorrow. Tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. This is the CNN releasing the debate stage. That's what we have to look forward to tomorrow. I think it looks horrible. Are we going to get Trump announcing his vice presidential pick? He's teasing it. He said he was going to release it between, or sometime before the convention. So I can say how much I hate fucking that stage that CNN built for the debate. That was the point of releasing that. But Trump is... I think I need to pack another one. Thread! With the resub. Need to put a little more purple passion in the bowl. He's really teasing that he's going to announce his vice presidential pick. Could it be like if he feels that he does bad in the debate, he'll pick a vice presidential candidate? He's got all of them at the debate tomorrow. He's got Vance, Burgum, Vivek is going to be there. There's a strong contingency that wants him to pick Vivek. I don't think that's happening. Like a turd sandwich, am I right? J.D. Vance says it shouldn't be him. He lays out the reasons.
Campaign reached out or anything to let you know, hey, this is official, this is happening. We're vetting you, you're on the short list or anything like that.
They're looking at me and they're looking at a lot of other people too, and they'll ask me if they ask me. And if they don't, that's fine. When you look at something and you say, look, this guy was successful. He brought freedom. He brought a ton of prosperity to our country. Peace on the world stage, right? Like, you didn't have a new war popping up every year. So I just think the results were so good. How could anybody look at it and say, oh yeah, I was critical of Trump in 2016, but he proved me wrong? You need Congress to take congressional action so that Biden or whoever else comes after Trump,
I'm a shit lib,
and basically undo everything that he did that was smart on the border. That's really, really important. You've got to be willing to deport people who come in illegally. You've got to be willing to construct that border wall. A lot more manufacturing jobs than we have right now. If you look, the economies that really, really thrive They've got a foundation of strong manufacturing. They're developing their.
He's just got pretty eyelashes, doesn't he?
Necessary to give parents the ability to give their kids a good education. I mean, the difference between life outcome of a kid who goes to a decent school versus a kid who goes to a terrible school is just really, really incredible.
Yes, it is. Venus, like I'm one of those people. I get teary-eyed reading American history and shit. I'm an institutionalist. I'm very radical in my thinking about those institutions. But I'm still, you guys are probably all further to the left than I am. Just throwing it out there. And I guess that comes. Bernie Sanders is right in the sweet spot for me. I was really on the Bernie train long before Bernie ran for president, because Tom Hartman had a segment on his show all the way back in like 2005, 2006 with at the time it was the congressman from Vermont. It was called Lunch with Bernie, and they talk about all the issues. Like fucking, I was all about Bernie Sanders. And then Al Franken I listened to a lot. I was traveling a lot at the time. So I traveled for work. I was a traveling photographer. So I was in my truck for fucking hours on end, and I was listening to a lot of talk radio, and I had XM was new at the time. It was like 2005, 2006. Into 2009 and shit. It was really when Air America didn't last that long. Air America was like 2 years. But I got to listen to I don't think you can radicalize it, because once again, I've met Mitch McConnell. I've had lunch in the governor's mansion of Kentucky. The governor really, a couple of governors ago, he really fucking liked me, and I have no clue why, because he's a Republican. I didn't even vote for him. But he liked me as a news reporter because I did news for years. I've worked for 3 or 4 newspapers. I've worked for 2 different actual radio stations, and then a college radio station. I've done news for all of them. I'll tell the story. I went to the Brickyard 400 with my brother and several of his friends the weekend before. This probably would have been, June. When is the Brickyard? Sometime in the summer. And we did meth the entire fucking time, because if you're gonna walk around Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the entire weekend, it's the drug to do. We partied and had a blast. But then on Monday, I'm at a Mitch McConnell speech, and I am in the front of the fucking auditorium, kind of convention centers where it was at. I'm in the front fucking row, and I fall the fuck asleep because I've been up doing meth all weekend. I'm probably 22 at the time, maybe not even that, maybe 21, possibly. I've met all kinds of Congress people and the state senators, and oh god, I got all my shit out of my system young. It was the 2000s, everybody was doing it. I didn't do speed drugs, right? That was a special occasion. My thing was opioids. I really got into opioids. A Percocet and a joint, best feeling in the world. I did a lot of MDMA in the 2015s. In the mid 2010s. I could never, until I got to college the second time, I was never really around anybody that had the club drugs. I didn't get to do hallucinogens until like 2012 or something. I love that's the only thing I do anymore. Like, I'll do some mushrooms, or you give me some hits of acid. I'll totally, like, I don't know if I would do any MDMA anymore. Like, I'm not really into it. I hooked up with a guy 3 or 4 years ago. It's probably after the pandemic. It was probably 2020 or 2021. I hooked up with a guy and he offered me some coke, and I was like, no, because I don't think my dick would work on it. Because like that's really why I quit doing all the speedy drugs. My dick quit working on it. I hit 30, my dick quit working on it. It's probably way too much information.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
I'm just freaky and here for whatever weird group sex you guys are gonna do. I don't have you guys can get as fucked up as you want. I'm here for the freaky shit. Oh, because I hooked up with this couple off of Craigslist. And this would be like 2014, something like that. And I had met the girl when like she was in rehab, and I got involuntarily committed when I was in college. It was some bullshit. Like, they couldn't punish me any other way, so they did that to me. And it was bullshit. And I had to spend 3 days in there. But like I met this girl. I was kind of into her. That was in the. They tell you not to hook up with anybody that you meet in a place like that, in a mental health facility. But she was apparently, banging meth or whatever on the other side, and like I smoked. I did a little toot, smoked a little whatever they were doing. Well, she was with like her boyfriend and shit. She wanted to get banged by two cocks, so who am I to deprive her, right? And that was the first night. Like, I couldn't get it up anymore, and like I think I was 29 or I was 30 at the time. I like rando sex. That's kind of my. I don't know if I've ever told you guys this. Maybe you've picked up on it. I kind of have a thing for strangers. That's kind of my. That's the women I follow on OnlyFans that go out and bang strangers. Well, I worked at the strip club, so of course I'm going to have romantic relations with some of the girls there. That's just a given. I was also stupid. I had a girlfriend at the time when I was working at a strip club. I was also stupid because like she probably would have banged half the girls in the strip club. All right, let's get back to the news. We gotta get through this. We got a lot of fucking news. Got a lot of wild ass videos when we get to the crime shit. I guess we're getting to the crime shit, aren't we? All right, we'll do this last. I was gonna skip this, but we'll do this. I feel like it was a little too much Fox News tonight. We'll get some Brett Baer. They get off on talking about, what Obama and Hillary and Nancy Pelosi are doing.
President Biden hunkering down with advisors at Camp David to prep for Thursday's CNN presidential debate. But some top Democrats, including former President Barack Obama, are reportedly expressing doubts about his strategy and his chances for winning in November. Karl Rove, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff.
Oh, God, Turd Blossom.
Joins us now. Good morning, Karl. This story pops up in...
Is that more than McCollum again?
What Obama is whispering to Biden, the president's plan to...
Oh, God, he looks horrible.
Trump. Here's an excerpt of it. Though his anxiety about the election is real, in the words of one Obama friend, the ex-president's concerns sounded a lot like those of other top Democrats. Those who are in regular touch with Obama say these nerves are not a reflection of any particular angst about Biden or his team, but of the broader reality. The country is closely divided, the media landscape is fractured, and Donald Trump may very well win. Your thoughts heading into Thursday and maybe this angst from Democrats?
I have a skin tag or some shit under my armpit. That's what Karl Rove's head looks like. What do you guys think? You think Trump may very well win?
Right.
Well, it's been there for a long while because they're seeing the same thing that the rest of the country is, which is he's suffering in office. They also are seeing public reaction to the economy, to the cost of living, to people finding it hard at the end of the month to take that paycheck and pay all the bills that are that they're encumbered during that month. So yeah, my view of the Obama wing of the Democratic Party is they had their doubts about him in 2015. Remember, he was a sitting vice president, and the president of the United States said, "I'm not going to support him in the 2016 election. I'm going to support Hillary Clinton." And that's that. There was tension already. That created more tension, but they've always had their doubts about his ability to win.
I think Joe would have won in 2016.
Excuse me, he won in 2016. But actually won in 2020 after not being a candidate in 2016, but they've had their doubts ever since, I suspect.
And I think that comes through, right? And at first, Karl, you would only see that said off the record. Then it was
No, he did not run in the primary.
People just saying it on the record, trying to get attention.
Right.
Bo had just died.
Campaign. So now they're in debate prep. And here we go. Bob Bauer is one of the people prepping Biden. He did an interview with Politico Playbook Deep Dive. Here's what he said about how it's going.
I looking back on it, God, I wish Joe Biden had ran in 2016. And like we were ending a second Biden administration right now. I think we would be a lot better off. Karl doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
I would say in all of the debate preps, and whether it was a Trump debate prep or Gore Bradley or others that I've done, you cannot be afraid of laying down on the table something that your candidate that you're preparing this for won't like. That could be something that's personally insulting. That's something that can be completely false about a policy position that they've taken.
So we know that is maybe a little bit of a strategy. And just one last thing here. Monica Alba and Carol Lee said this. There's an NBC headline that Biden debate prep strategy is be prepared for two different Trumps. If Trump is more sedate than incensed, the goal for Biden will be to elicit what his aides see as the true Trump. So it sounds like possibly they're both going to try to do that.
Well, yeah, it was interesting. I wrote my column last week in the Journal on debate, and I talked to 5 Republicans who'd been involved in debate prep for various candidates.
The plug for the Journal.
And what was interesting was they all agreed that the question for Biden was which Trump was going to show up. Was it going to be the wild Trump we saw in the first 2020 debate, interrupting, yelling, or was it going to be a more calm one? And they said, every one of them said that Biden would have to prepare for both instances and have a strategy for both. And obviously the instance is if it's wild, take advantage of it. If he's calm, try and goad him into becoming the wild one. So I thought that was a pretty interesting universal reaction from everybody. With regard to Trump, everybody assumed that he would attack. But some people said, You know, how much time will he spend on explaining what he would do in a second term? It's fine to go after Biden on the cost of living, on his handling of Afghanistan, on Hunter Biden to some degree. But the question was, would he leave a sense of here's what I'm going to do in a second term? And they all thought
attack.
Brought that up. All felt that it was really important that Trump have some sense of what his second act was going to be in order to seal the deal in the debate.
You know, we thought we were going whiteboardless, and thank God you came with,
Brett Baer mocking him.
For a whiteboard, you get a whiteboard, my friend.
All right, Carl, thanks for joining us.
I'm Steve Doocy.
Shut up, Steve Doocy. And by whiteboard, he meant himself. He was the whiteboard that they brought on. Da-doom-ch. We'll transition from the political to the crime section very smoothly. Oakland Mayor Xing Thao, who was raided last week by the FBI. We covered it on the show on Sunday. She claims the FBI wouldn't have raided her home if she was rich.
The next morning, as we were dealing with this trauma of the shooting at Lake Merritt, our city woke up to the news that the FBI had raided the home that I share with my partner and our family. You all deserve to hear directly from me.
In Alabama?
I plan to be 100% transparent and cooperate fully with this investigation. And I want to be crystal clear. I have done nothing wrong. I am the mayor to all the Oaklanders who work hard, who are working overtime to do the right thing and to make the world a better place. And no matter how hard you strive and push and fight and stay positive, and that you don't give up because you believe in yourself and you know what you have to offer this world, that you just cannot catch a break. Well, guess what? I'm not going down like that. We're not going down like that.
Apparently, after this press conference that she gave, a attorney quit over this press conference. Embattled Oakland Mayor Xing Thao's attorney has resigned as her counsel after the mayor gave a press conference Monday without informing him. Tony Brass, a high-profile attorney who also represents accused Bob Lee killer Nima Momini, was retained as Mayor Thao's counsel late last week after the FBI raided her Oakland home. Apparently not Alabama. I misheard that. I've officially withdrawn as Xing Thao's counsel, Brass told Bay City News via text message. The mayor remained silent for several days, declining to speak about the raid or to address a mass shooting in Oakland on Wednesday, in which 15 people were shot at a Juneteenth celebration. 'Cause it's just another day. The statement, which KRon4.com has learned she did not inform her attorney about ahead of the time. Yeah. Mayor Thao implied that the FBI raid was connected to an ongoing recall effort against her. She also at times suggested that there were radical right-wing forces and a handful of billionaires from San Francisco and Piedmont hell-bent on ousting her from office. I could believe that. Prior to the news conference, a staff member for Mayor Thao told media she would not be taking any questions because her attorney advised her not to. However, Brass told KRon4 that he did not know there was going to be a news conference until he saw it on the news. KRon4 reached out to Mayor Thao's office and was told that the mayor informed Tony Brass she was changing attorneys on Saturday. Brass responded to the mayor's office's statement. This is a he said, she said between attorneys and a mayor, calling it absolutely untrue and telling KRON 4 he received no communication from Thau on Saturday about changing attorneys. He reiterated to KRON that he informed the mayor of his decision to withdraw on Monday morning. I love this shit. I live for it. Let's keep it in California. Let's keep it in California. We're going to go from Oakland down to L.A. Apparently, we have a controversial traffic stop. This is video of a December 2022 DUI arrest of a top official in the L.A. County District Attorney's Office, which prompted a lawsuit. Police called the footage vindication for their actions. This came out yesterday.
The city of Azusa that police say vindicates their officers after they were sued over a traffic stop by a top aide in the LA County DA's office. This all stemmed from a traffic stop 3 years ago, but video from the incident has never been seen until now.
KTLA's Jennifer McGraw is live with a story behind that video. Jen.
Police say this driver made an alleged illegal U-turn, so they pulled that person over. It's an old story, but this new video is bringing into question who's at fault. New video released from the city of Azusa is shedding light on what happened at a traffic stop back in 2021. A top aide in LA County's DA office taken into custody, accused of public intoxication, and his fiance, who was driving, detained, accused of DUI.
I don't know, I just got here, like I said, you smelled alcohol?
Yeah, because of me. Because I drank. I'm not 647F.
But DA Joseph Iniguez is claiming they were falsely arrested and discriminated against by officers, telling his fiancé the whole time he doesn't need to cooperate with police.
The conversation's over. Don't answer any questions. Trust me.
The two were taken into custody, and police did not do a blood sample for intoxication. Both.
He works in the DA's office. Like, he's the one that decides who gets arrested.
Were eventually released. Iniguez would later file a lawsuit claiming his civil rights were violated. The city settled for $10,000, saying it was cheaper than going to trial. At the time, there was no body camera with the department. However, Iniguez recorded this video himself. Never seen before now, obtained in public record requests by the city, adding to not only how officers acted, but how he did.
No. This is not 148, dog. This is not one, and you have pulled over the wrong person. Let me tell you.
And
did you run our plates?
Listen, I wasn't here.
Dude, run our plates and see what you find. Honestly, I'm not saying anything. Just see what you find.
The investigation is closed, but the department says this video is in part vindication for their officers.
When I saw this video, I do believe our officers were treated with disrespect, which does happen in the course of doing our
Fuck your
duties.
cops.
It's disturbing when it involves a public official.
KTLA's legal analyst Allison Treasel had this
Fuck
to
your
say
cops.
about what the tape shows.
At a bare minimum, there should be an investigation into this conduct to see if it was appropriate, to see if it crossed the line.
Iniguez's attorney did release this statement and has a very different take. The video shows that Mr. Iniguez was 100% without a doubt falsely arrested.
Yeah.
He was lucid, calm, direct, and in full control.
Was citing laws.
My book is a hero. He took a false arrest and used it to protect the good citizens of Azusa, who are now, because of him, protected with body-worn cameras. We reached out to District
Kind of
Attorney
looks like Amy
George
Schumer.
Gascon, and he says that he will not comment on personnel. In downtown LA, Jennifer McGraw, KTLA 5 News.
Jennifer, thank you.
At first, I kind of thought she had like a Christy Alley thing going on, and then I saw the Amy Schumer, and I couldn't unsee it. The Georgia Supreme Court. I've been fascinated by this story. We've done updates the last couple of times we've had streams. A judge in Georgia was arrested at a nightclub. I can't figure out what she was actually arrested for. It was one of those, assault on a police officer resisting arrest. But I don't hear a original charge for why she would need to be resisting arrest for what. But the Georgia Supreme Court has apparently removed the judge from office now.
And today, the Georgia Supreme Court removed a Douglas County judge arrested outside of a Buckhead lounge. We've been talking about this story all week. But Judge Christina Peterson, who you just saw there, she's not losing her job due to the felony charges she faces after allegedly hitting a police officer.
That's right, Faith. This is all in response to a number of ethics charges brought by the state commission that investigates claims of judicial misconduct. 11 Alive's Teresa Bowles spoke with Peterson's attorneys today and explains how the panel came to this decision.
In an 80-page decision, the Georgia Supreme Court laid out 28 counts of misconduct and 30 alleged violations for former Douglas County probate judge Christina Peterson. Those violations include improper conduct toward county officials and inappropriate use of court resources. Peterson's attorney said in part, quote, "I'm pleased that we were able to provide her with a vigorous defense in court, getting numerous counts dismissed and fighting off 2 motions for interim suspension, even though today we lost the ultimate battle." On social media, Peterson posted, "This is a setup, not justice." However, some Douglasville residents tell me she's earned her consequences, especially after the body camera footage of her arrest.
Do your job the right way. 28 violation, that's a lot. That's a lot.
A spokesperson for Douglas County tells me that senior judge John McClain will likely appoint a retired judge to keep
John McClain
until Peterson's term ends in December. In Douglas County, Teresa Bowles, 11 Alive News.
So 28 ethics charges. It didn't really say what they were or what she was accused of doing, so I can't really evaluate. But she says she didn't hit no cop.
Was at a club for a night of fun when something happened and a confrontation resulted. Next thing you know, this lady is in the back of a police cruiser. Well, it turns out she's a judge.
She's under arrest for allegedly assaulting a car.
Her titties out.
The woman cuffed in the back of the police car is a judge. Now she's speaking out to Inside Edition.
I never knew I was dealing with an officer.
Probate court judge Christina Peterson was arrested.
See, this is Georgia. I wonder how, like, racism could absolutely play a factor. Like, she got her comeuppance because she got too uppity. That absolutely exists in the good old boys system.
During a melee at an Atlanta nightclub. She says she intervened to help after this woman was struck by a man.
He was just punching her in the face. And I just was so shocked.
But cops
didn't seem to punch her.
Judge Peterson punched an off-duty officer who was moonlighting at the club. They say she refused to provide any ID.
Take me where you want to take me.
I can't take
you.
I don't have any identification on
And
me.
I don't care.
What's my charges now? You said I was charged with a felony?
Did you punch a police officer?
Absolutely not. I never really knew a police officer was there. My focus was on the victim.
Do you think that you exercised good judgment as a judge when you were in the backseat of that police car, not giving him any of your information?
No, it wasn't the best judgment, but I can say I wasn't comfortable with speaking with that officer. I was just so devastated and just so frustrated on how this man decided to treat me without cause.
The woman who says she got hit in the video is backing the judge's version of events.
She just was trying to help me. Nobody was helping.
This wasn't personal for me. I just wanted to protect her.
Take me where you want to take me.
Unrelated to the club situation, yesterday Christina Peterson was removed from the bench for systematic incompetence. She's now barred from holding any judicial position in the state of Georgia for the next 7 years.
I don't know what to think about it. But gross incompetence. And I'll let Legal Eagle tell me what to think. That's how I'll make my decision. We're going to have to take a commercial break on the Twitch. When we come back, body camera footage of a Georgia But it says a Georgia trooper. I put a Louisiana trooper. Apparently it's a Georgia trooper. The shooting of a black man. We got a search for a woman who is missing in the Bahamas. We're gonna check in on the Karen Reed trial. I have not. I don't know anything about the case. It's apparently one of the high-profile kind of Nancy Grace kind of cases going on. So we're gonna check in, see what's happening with it. A Florida woman ran over her baby. Fort Worth police are in hot water over beating the fuck out of a YouTuber. So all that and a lot freaking more on the other side of the break. We play the 3 minutes. We get them out of the way. You don't have to worry about missing any content. I'm just gonna yak with the chat. We'll get high, and then we'll come back. We'll find out what that news be doing. I gotta go get more tea. I made dinner before the stream, but I didn't get a chance to eat it. So I get dinner like right after the stream. So far, so good. I'm not like starving, but you guys also haven't got me on like a tangent about food. Big debates tomorrow night. We'll have to fire up the kick and the D. I gotta make sure D Live works. Hope guy on a buffalo drops in. Says, "Hey, wonder where we've been because we're not on the D Live anymore." When I first started streaming, you could stream on like 10 different sources. And then they started charging for that shit. I guess streaming became a lot more popular. So like you can only do 2 for the free. I started paying for it there for a while until I got my Twitch yanked from me. I think I was paying for 10, which now they've cut the enshittification. If you guys don't know what the enshittification of every internet service, platform, app, it's all enshittification. That is the perfect word. If you've not heard that term before, perfectly describes what is happening on everything. The debate is 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to come on at 7 p.m. on Twitch and YouTube. We'll switch to Kick and D Live at 9 p.m. Totally not high. I'm already not high enough for how high I need to be tomorrow night. Who knows what's going to happen? It's going to be wild. We only got one debate in 2020. The second one, Trump got COVID. And the third one was like 3 different town halls. Everybody back from ads now? I think everybody's back. I think we're good. We can go on about the news. It gets a little brutal. I'll go ahead and hit the content warning. Twitch is edging you. We're going to go to Georgia. Shot in 1.6 seconds. Video raises questions about how trooper avoided charges in black man's death. Oh, thank you, DJ Dub. From August 7th, 2020. It's only a minute and a half, or a minute and 18 seconds. That's how fast all of this is going to happen.
This newly released dash camera video is raising questions about the fatal shooting of a black motorist.
It was clear, obviously, what had happened, but how quickly it happened, and trying to wrap our heads around that.
5 minutes into a pursuit over a broken taillight, Lewis was dead. Georgia State Trooper Jake Thompson shot Lewis seconds after he forced his car into a ditch.
The use of force, from my perspective, was not reasonable given the totality of circumstances here. And in fact, had the pursuit not occurred, this would not have happened.
A grand jury declined to indict Thompson, who said he fired fearing Lewis was trying to run him over. The state of Georgia paid Lewis's family a $4.8 million settlement to avoid a lawsuit.
Wow.
I feel like the video itself, if that is kind of released, if that can reach the public, then that may spur a second wave of interest and maybe hold people a little bit more accountable to really examine this more closely.
I'd be scared too. 5 minutes into a pursuit that began over a broken taillight, the 60-year-old black man was dead, shot in the forehead. The white trooper fired a single bullet in mere seconds after forcing Lewis to crash into a ditch. Trooper Jake Thomas insisted he pulled the trigger as Lewis revved the engine of his Nissan Sentra and jerked his steering wheel as if trying to mow him down. I had to shoot this man, Thompson can be heard telling a supervisor on video recording by his dash-mounted camera at the shooting scene in rural Scriven County, midway between Savannah and Augusta, and I'm just scared. The investigation file obtained by AP offers the most detailed account yet of the case, including documents that spell out why the Georgia Bureau of Investigation concluded the 27-year-old trooper's version of events did not match the evidence. For instance, an inspection of Lewis's car indicated the crash had disconnected the vehicle's battery and rendered it immobile. Footage of the pursuit has never been made public. It was first obtained by the authors of a new book about race and economic inequality titled 15's. It's always a book plug, even in an AP article. The footage does not include visuals of the actual shooting, which happened outside the camera's view, but it shows the crucial final moments in which Thompson uses a police maneuver to send Lewis's car spinning into a ditch. Then the trooper's cruiser stops parallel to Lewis's vehicle, and Thompson's voice breaks. "Hey, get your hands up!" The gunshots ring out before he can finish the warning. The documents show Thompson fired just 1.6 seconds after his cruiser stopped. 1.6 seconds. The guy just came out shooting and did not give Lewis remotely sufficient time to respond. This is according to a former Boca Raton Florida police officer who wrote a dissertation about police chases. This goes beyond a stupid mistake, adds Charles Joe Key, a former Baltimore police lieutenant and use of force expert. He also took issue with the maneuver to disable Lewis's vehicle, saying that too was unwarranted, and he deemed Thompson's claim that he fired because of the revving engine total garbage. Thompson was fired and arrested on a murder charge a week after the August 7th, 2020 shooting, which came amid a summer of protests in the wake of the police killings of George Floyd and other black people. The trooper was denied bail, spent more than 100 days in jail, but in the end, Thompson walked free without a trial. The state grand jury in 2021 declined to bring an indictment. The district attorney overseeing the case closed it last fall when federal prosecutors also ruled out civil rights charges. At the same time, the U.S. Justice Department quietly entered into a non-prosecution agreement with Thompson, forbidding him from ever working in law enforcement again, a highly unusual deal that brought little solace to Lewis's family. It's inadequate, said Lewis's son, Brooke Bacon. I thought the shortcomings that occurred at the state level would be more thoroughly examined at the federal level, but that's apparently not the case. They get a $4.8 million settlement from the state of Georgia. Well, apparently the feds say he can't work in law enforcement again, for what that's worth. That should mean something. We're going to go down to the Bahamas, where the search is underway for a missing American woman.
And a search is underway for an American woman after she vanished in the Bahamas last week. Taylor Casey was on a yoga retreat when her mother says she got a call saying her daughter didn't show up to classes.
A yoga retreat.
Says she's not satisfied with the answers she's getting. ABC's Morgan Norwood has the latest.
The mystery deepening in the disappearance of Taylor Casey, the Chicago woman who vanished from a yoga retreat in the Bahamas.
You know, a mother's intuition and answers I was getting just didn't correlate. Just wasn't what I wanted to hear.
Her mother, desperate for answers, traveling to the island herself to look for her daughter who's been missing since last week.
A young lady called me and said, "Have you heard from Taylor?" And I'm like, I'm looking at the phone because I know she was from the yoga retreat. And then she said, Taylor hasn't showed up for yoga classes.
The 41-year-old was last seen at the Sivananda Ashram yoga retreat exactly a week ago today near the Paradise Island area.
Oh God, that's not good.
In these videos posted by the retreat online, Bahamian police issuing this missing person poster after the retreat says she didn't show up for morning classes. Casey's disappearance comes as the U.S. State Department issued a level 2 travel advisory to the Bahamas due to crime. Her mother says she's been practicing yoga for 15 years and went to the retreat to fulfill her lifelong goal of deepening her practice.
She was excited about attending this teacher's training.
Sounds bougie.
She could learn, get her certification, and then bring yoga back to Chicago.
But this morning, with no sign of Casey, her family and friends starting this Facebook page to help spread awareness and bring her home.
It's very critical in the first day or two when somebody disappears.
It's been a week.
The potential, if they're in harm's way or they've been harmed, the longer it is before you find them, it just puts them in further jeopardy.
And
You're smelling patchouli.
Here now with more on this story. Morgan, what's the latest on this investigation?
Hey, Morgan.
As Brad was pointing out in the piece, every moment, every day is critical. All of that matters. So I'd imagine as Bahamian police are investigating, they're going to be back out at that retreat, trying to retrace her last steps. And one thing that's interesting about this retreat in general is that they also offer accommodations. It's unclear whether she was actually staying there and using those accommodations at the retreat, but that's a critical element of that as well. So they're going to be trying to retrace her steps. But again, a lot of questions into how something like this could have happened, Diane.
And what's the State Department saying?
Yeah, so the U.S. State Department says that they are aware of this situation, that they're working closely with local authorities as they continue to carry out this search. So certainly thinking of her family.
All right, ABC's Morgan Norwood, thank you.
Ugh. That was a polite way of saying, was she fucking somebody there? Because that'd be where you'd want to start. I hope they find her, but a week. Oof. I know nothing about this Karen Reed trial, but apparently it's pretty high profile. The jury is deliberating and support for a Karen is growing.
The chanting grows louder as the jury deliberates the fate of Karen Reed.
Free Karen Reed! Free Karen Reed!
Passing motorists honk in support.
Wait, was she an officer? I'm against her then.
Girls are joining the throng with signs and pom-poms.
Karen
Why are you here today? To support Karen Reed.
They don't know shit.
Support Karen Reed.
One mom brought a baby wearing a Free Karen Reed t-shirt. They're even passing around a Karen Reed guest book, asking for signatures. They plan to give the keepsake to Reed when the trial is over. Allison Hall is there.
Court officials are doing everything they can to keep the jury of 6 men and 6 women isolated from the circus-like atmosphere. The judge has established a buffer zone, ordering the crowds to stay
I've seen more circus.
200 feet away from the courthouse.
Court TV's Matt Johnson.
Are they aware that these supporters are here? Can they hear them?
This case is unlike any other. This jury is well aware of the media attention that it's gotten before they started deliberating on the case. Now, we could hear sirens during testimony, and these cheers for Karen Reed by these supporters is very loud, so you have to imagine they might be able to hear it in this 200-year-old courthouse.
These supporters are so into the trial, they've come here on vacation. Holly Johnson.
Oh, wait a minute. She's on trial for murdering a cop. Oh, hey, whoa. This adds a twist. I could be on this woman's side. I could be into freeing Karen Reed. Why did nobody tell me this? No, we do not want the Australian cricket player. Pull up a news article here that explains the backstory. I don't have this blocked. God damn it. I think I'm on the side of Karen Reed now, though. On January of 2022, Miss Reed and her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, a 46-year-old Boston police officer, had been out drinking with friends in Canton, Massachusetts, a town about 20 miles south of Boston. At a bar, they ran into another Boston police officer and were invited to a late-night party at his house. Shortly after midnight, they drove to the house, where Officer O'Keefe got out of Miss Reed's black Lexus SUV. Prosecutors say that the couple had been fighting and that Miss Reed accelerated in reverse, intentionally striking her boyfriend before leaving him in the snow. He was found unresponsive later that morning by Miss Reed, who said she had frantically searched for him after waking up on his couch around 4 a.m. and realizing he had not come home. Officer O'Keefe, who had severe head injuries and hypothermia, was pronounced dead on January 29, 2022. Miss Reed was arrested 3 days later. She's pleaded not guilty to charges of second-degree murder and manslaughter. So there you have it. Miss Reed's lawyers accused the police of a cover-up. Miss Reed's lawyers have said that law enforcement officials had a sweeping conspiracy to hide the truth about the murder. They say that Miss Reed dropped off Officer O'Keefe at the house party in Canton, where someone inside fatally beat him and then dumped his body in the snow. Defense witnesses have testified that Officer O'Keefe's injuries were not consistent with a car accident. Miss Reed's lawyers point to a Google search including a misspelled word that was recovered from the cell phone of a woman who was inside the home that night. Hosts long to die in cold. They say the query was made around 2:30 a.m. before Officer O'Keefe's body was found around 6 a.m. Defense also highlighted a web of relationships that connected some of the people who were in the house that night to law enforcement officers who investigated the case in order to bolster their argument that there was a cover-up.
Then hopped on a plane just this morning.
Came from Atlanta to be a part of this movement and a part of history. I am taking some time off from work for this.
The former
I'm on her side.
Wiped away tears as she arrived, overwhelmed by the support. She wore a tailored pinstripe suit surrounded by her legal team and security.
Free Karen Reed.
Scolded by the judge during a back and forth between the judge and her lawyers over a procedural matter.
Excuse me, this is funny, Ms. Reed?
Reed is accused of running down her boyfriend, Boston cop John O'Keefe, in a fit of jealous rage. The defense contends that she was framed.
She was framed. I think she was framed. I'm totally into it. What do you guys think? You framed? Cops framed her. One of the cops beat him up for fucking their girl. And then they blamed it on her.
Usual, something we haven't seen before in this trial. Usually when she leaves the courthouse each day, we can walk right up to Karen Reed and ask her questions. But today she left surrounded by several large men. They were holding each other by the shoulder and forming a kind of security cage around Karen Reed. Now, she was not answering any questions, including about what caused today's harsh comments from the judge. The jury was out of the courtroom, and Karen Reed's face was out of sight of the courtroom camera when Judge Beverly Cannoni saw something that made her say this.
Excuse me, this is funny, Ms. Reed?
The rebuke came at the end of a heated debate with Reed's attorneys about one of the verdict slips provided to the jury.
This verdict slip, as submitted to the jury, is exactly how it always is in Massachusetts.
The jury has received verdict slips for each of the three main charges Reed faces: second-degree murder, vehicular manslaughter while under the influence, and leaving the scene of the accident with death resulting. The manslaughter slip includes a not guilty box for the main charge. The defense argued not guilty boxes should also be available for the two lesser charges included within manslaughter.
It's almost like the court is directing a verdict of the subordinate charges.
All right, we're done.
The judge dismissed the attorneys, but later called them back and said she'd agreed to change the manslaughter slip to read not guilty of the offense charged or any lesser offense. She also gave the jury new instructions for how to consider the manslaughter charge.
So I'm going to send in a new verdict slip on count 2 that's just a little bit different.
His fears were warranted. We're also going to be keeping up with this Young Thug trial. I'm totally into this. This had everything. Why have I not been paying attention to this one? Next one's probably pretty brutal. We got some real brutality coming up here. Florida woman apparently caught on camera running over a baby.
Photo just released from the Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd. All of this connected, along with this video, to a situation where a mother is accused of running over her child. I do want to play for you a 3-minute comment that was made by Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd.
I hate Grady Judd.
All of this.
You can't make this stuff up. It's got to be true. This is Aaliyah Ross. She's 27. She and her husband, Devin, get into an argument in their house. And Devin goes outside, allegedly to calm down. But while he's in the process of calming down, he throws a cinder block onto her vehicle.
As one does.
Did I mention to you that when Devin went outside, he took his 16-month-old son, well, actually their 16-month-old son, outside. Well, when the cinder block went onto the car, it made Aaliyah even madder.
Who
so
wouldn't
she got
be?
into the car, and she lunged forward in the car like she was going to run over him. Now, he's holding the 16-month-old
Alexandria,
baby.
good evening.
Well, she said, I guess he didn't get out of the way, so she lunged again and ran over Devin and her 16-month-old baby. Did you hear what I said?
Yes, I heard it, Grady, but because you said it, it's like less horrifying and more folksy. It is a very, like, if this is the video here.
She was going to run over him. Now, he's holding the 16-month-old baby. Well, she said, I guess he didn't get out of the way, so she lunged again and ran over Devin and her 16-month-old baby. Did you hear what I said? She ran over her boyfriend and their baby. Like bump, 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 run over, okay? Then she runs the car into a neighbor's house, which is supposed to be some kind of relative. She leaves.
Bump, bump, bump.
And ran over Devin and her 16-month-old baby. Did you hear what I said? She ran over her boyfriend and their baby. Like bump, 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 run over them, okay? Then she runs the car into a neighbor's house, which is supposed to be some kind of relative.
I want to run for Congress. I want this motherfucker on Capitol Hill. I want him on Fox News. Did you hear what he's saying? Bump, bump, bump.
Like bump, 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 run over them, okay? Then she runs the car into a neighbor's house, which is supposed to be some kind of relative. She leaves with the baby. She's injured. Devin is on his way to the hospital, calls her and says, "You've got to take the baby to the hospital." She said, "No, I'm going to leave him at the house." So she drives back to the house and puts the child in the house by himself.
What?
And then she takes off again. Devin goes back to the house, picks the baby up, and they both go to the hospital. Listen to me. The baby is in critical condition.
Oh my God.
This morning. In the hospital in Tampa. And after she runs over her baby, after she leaves with him, she brings him back to the house and leaves him alone and him in critical condition at 16 months old. And then she takes off again. So obviously, we're not impressed with her conduct. She's clearly violated all kinds of laws of the state of Florida. So we track her down in Orlando at her sister's.
We're not impressed with her conduct.
From the Orange County Sheriff's Office helped us by taking her into custody until we can.
She attempted murder of a baby. And the sheriff describes it as, "I'm not impressed with her conduct." This is amazing.
You can get there and interview her. She's locked up on too many charges to talk about in this short video. You talking about crazy? Here's a crazy woman.
And that was Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd there in Florida speaking about a mother.
No, sir. No, sir. You want to talk about a crazy woman? Let me tell you about Taylor's business. If I had the opportunity to pitch a TV show, it would be about Taylor's business. Let's go to Texas. Where a cop is under investigation for beating the shit out of a YouTuber.
Real concern about this image here. A woman left with a black eye after being arrested in Fort Worth. She is a YouTuber who apparently regularly records police. Now, at least one city leader in Fort Worth is calling for the release of body cam.
Oh, she's an auditor.
Video following her arrest while police investigate their own use of force. Our Bo Evans, he is live this morning in Fort Worth with this video that has the attention of the city's mayor and also the police chief. Bo?
Yeah, good morning, Steve. The whole thing was streamed live on the YouTube channel Carolina.
Yeah, she's got $1 million payout coming. Here's the thing. Those auditors push the cops to the limits, and God bless them for it. Great content. I consume plenty of it when I'm not on stream. I'm sure you guys can understand that as much as I love fucking body cam footage and shit. God bless you for the. They're usually weird libertarians, and you don't want to hear about their other views, but they like to fuck with the cops, and I'm into fucking with the cops. So I totally condone that shit.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
But they're out there, they're pushing people's buttons on purpose. Now, that's not to say that they certainly didn't deserve the beating they received. But they were out there pushing cops' buttons on purpose.
In Fort Worth, and the woman, Carolyn Rodriguez, was filming police when things escalated quickly.
I'm not warning you again.
What are you talking about?
Go to the other side of the street right now.
Wait, tell me why first.
We're doing it in
You're under arrest. Turn off.
No, I'm not under it. Okay, you go.
Stop resisting.
Yep. That was what, 2 seconds?
Resisting. She's bleeding.
The video was taken 2 days ago in the West 7th Entertainment District. Now, in the video, Rodriguez asked officers why they're towing people's cars at the scene of a hit-and-run crash. An officer tells her to move to the other side of the street or she'll get arrested. Then, that arrest, you saw it just a few moments ago. Rodriguez received medical treatment and then was booked into Tarrant County Jail on multiple charges, including false alarm or report, interfering with public duties, and resisting arrest. She has
all bullshit charges.
Shot. Fort Worth police tell us an officer used force when Rodriguez didn't comply with their orders. And City Councilman Chris Nettles wants answers and transparency.
It was not in the same vein that we received a report from the Fort Worth Police Department. I think it's important to calm the city down by releasing that footage.
Why?
Fort Worth Mayor Maddie Parker has asked for a special meeting to address.
I feel like we have covered so many stories that should spark protests. How are we not out in the streets like we were in the summer of 2020? What was going on here?
The issue on Friday, and Chief Neil Noakes has said that his department will have an update on that use of force later today. In Fort Worth, Bo Evans, CBS News, Texas.
Yeah, in that video, there are other officers there, obviously, and presumably they would have body cam video as well. And as you just mentioned, the mayor and others concerned about this. Bo, thank you. Now, if you'd like a closer look at the video, you can see it anytime on cbstexas.com.
Yeah, we certainly didn't get to see a lot of it. Oh, here we go. Just in the last couple hours. She's talking now.
Our Fort Worth police did release some body camera video from an incident last weekend that has led now to a use of force investigation.
So the woman in the video, she says she was assaulted by the officers. She sat down with our Amelia Magavro to give her side of the story.
I have bad injuries. I have bruises all everywhere.
With a visible black eye, Carolyn Rodriguez speaking to us for the first time since she was arrested, claiming a Fort Worth officer used excessive force while arresting her this weekend.
This arm right here, I can barely move it. And so the elbow was knocked out of the socket.
She calls herself a First Amendment auditor and has created her own YouTube channel to document actions by Fort Worth police.
My motivation is to keep the people that don't know their rights safe.
She said she was driving around the West 7th area when she saw officers in a parking lot around 3 a.m. Sunday and started following and recording them for more than 20 minutes.
Hey ladies, hey ladies, hey ladies, hey Kruger. They had no police, they had no lights in the area.
Fort Worth police releasing this body camera video Wednesday afternoon, showing the officer asking Rodriguez to move and then arresting her and shoving her onto the ground.
Did her shirt say she's tried polygamy? It absolutely says, I've tried polygamy.
officer asking Rodriguez to move and then arresting her and shoving her onto the ground. Rodriguez claims she was knocked unconscious.
I don't remember an officer hitting me, but I remember him tackling me, grabbing me from behind. And the next thing I know is I woke up in the hospital, chained to the bed, handcuffed to the bed.
Police tell us Rodriguez was taken to the hospital and also booked into jail on charges including resisting arrest and interference of public duties.
If you were to give a number to how many times this is
duties
happened to you, what would you say?
I've been arrested like this probably about 5 or 6 times.
And Rodriguez says she plans to file a civil suit against the department. And meanwhile, Fort Worth City Council is also planning to hold an
being like in a cute little polycule, that's inoffensive, adorable. There's so many things so many positive adjectives I could throw at it. Polygamy implies like weird culty shit, and I gotta know which one is it?
Executive session on this incident this coming Friday. In Fort Worth, Emily McGalvro, CBS News, Texas.
You should also know that Fort Worth has announced this afternoon the Office of Police Oversight Monitor. They know about the force incident at this point. The
I bet they do.
Says that the monitor has, quote, been.
So the back of this shirt, it looked like a
move and then arresting her and shoving her onto the ground.
It looks like a barbecue joint advertisement. There we go. That's a good shot of it. Porter? Popter? Porter. Something Porter. Polygamy Porter? Polygamy Porter. I like the alliteration. We'll have just one. Oh, god damn. Let's go to this. Let's go to New York, where a migrant that shot an NYPD cop was arraigned.
A Venezuelan migrant accused of shooting 2 officers after they tried to pull him over for driving the wrong way. But prosecutors say his criminal activity goes much deeper than this one incident.
Fox Eyes' Jessica Formosa joins us live from East Elmhurst with
Curious, or good evening.
Fessed up to Jess.
Natasha and Teresa, he said a lot, and we're going to get to that in just a second.
She got pretty eyes.
This suspect came into this country illegally.
Was that creepy?
A year ago. He was arraigned on a number of charges, including 2 counts of attempted murder in the first degree. He used to live here at this shelter off Dimars Boulevard, but says he was kicked out. Now, he made a shocking confession to authorities.
Totally creepy. Okay.
A member of the vicious Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, and that gang is smuggling firearms into migrant shelters. Bernardo Raul Castro Mata, the Venezuelan migrant who shot 2 police officers earlier.
She nailed it. Nailed his name.
Face with the judge this morning. The 19-year-old arrived in a wheelchair and didn't say a word, but prosecutors say he spoke at length with investigators, giving shocking details of that night and what he's been up to since he arrived in New York City. He told cops he worked for DoorDash and received the gun he used to shoot the officers from a friend.
Last night I was coming
home. The American way.
I was in a car with my friend, and my friend, Jose Maita, gave me a bag with a gun in it and asked me to keep it for her.
The suspect confessing to police that he's a member of the notorious Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. According to audio recordings read by prosecutors, Mata claims he was recruited by a cousin to join the gang to do robberies. But the most shocking claim, the gang has been smuggling guns into city-run shelters.
Tren de Aragua members are smuggling firearms into city shelters inside food delivery.
Fox News is going to have a time with
this. To go through the metal detector.
On June 3rd, 2 NYPD officers attempted to pull him over for driving an unregistered scooter the wrong way on a one-way street in East Elmhurst. As police tried to pull him over, Mata ran off. Police chased him, and when they caught up with him, he resisted arrest. Mata allegedly fired at both officers, shooting Officer Christopher Abreu in the leg and Officer Richard Yaruso point blank in the front of his bulletproof vest. In court this morning,
that's a wasted bullet.
Mata also said that shooting at police officers is what they do in his home country.
It is common practice for Tren de gang members to shoot at police officers because Venezuelan police officers shoot.
You got one in the leg and one in the bulletproof vest.
Venezuelan police officers get
Might have
shot
stung
often in
for a
my
little
home
bit.
country because criminals feel there is a chance of getting
Left a bruise for a
He
few
was once
days.
again held without bail.
This dangerous individual wasn't afraid to shoot a New York City police officer because he thought he was going to get away with it. Not in this country.
Now, Mata pleaded not guilty to all of the charges. Now, since he ratted out his gang, his attorney did ask the judge to keep him in protective custody. The judge did grant that request. Now, we did reach out to DoorDash. They just got back to us saying that they have no record of anyone by that name working for DoorDash. That's the latest we have from Elmhurst, Queens. I'm Jessica Formoso, Fox 5 News. Teresa?
All right, Jessica, thank you. A
propane-related incident. Let's go to, I think it's the suburb of Chicago. Yeah, Highland Park. Remember the Highland Park shooting from a couple of years ago? The shooter had apparently agreed to a plea deal. It fell apart.
Here at 4 with a stunning flip-flop in a packed courtroom. The man accused of opening fire at the Highland Park 4th of July parade backed out of a proposed plea deal, all while survivors and victims' relatives
Was this last year?
in disbelief. CBS 2's Marissa Perlman reports from the Lake County Courthouse.
Robert Cremo III entered the courtroom in a wheelchair. We're told that's because he was too nervous to walk into court. Prosecutors thought they'd reached a deal, but with a simple no to the judge, the suspect rejected it. All of this from survivors who say they believe this was a calculated move on his continuous reign of terror.
We have 4th of July coming up, and it will be 2 years, and all I wanted
2
was
years.
to be able to fully grieve my mom.
Leah Sondheim, standing alongside her father Bruce, had high hopes that this day would be one of closure. As 2 years to the day Leah's mom, Bruce's wife, Jackie Sondheim, was shot and killed, quickly approaches.
Instead, we now get to sit and wait weeks and months of more hearings and unknowns.
In court, prosecutors said they and the suspect had reached a deal. He would plead guilty to 7 murder counts and 48 counts of aggravated battery, one for each named victim in the indictment. In exchange, he agreed to be sentenced to natural life in prison, and the rest of the charges would be dismissed. In front of dozens of survivors and family of victims, all who made their way to court, prepared to give victim impact statements.
What is the point? Oh yeah, I'll take life in prison. Can't get anything better than that.
Prosecutors said they and the suspect had reached a deal. He would plead guilty to 7 murder counts and 48 counts of aggravated battery, one for each named victim in the indictment. In exchange, he agreed to be sentenced to natural life in prison, and the rest of the charges would be dismissed. In front of dozens of survivors and family of victims, all who made their way to court.
What were the other charges?
Impact statements. He backed out.
I think that he has very little control, and he will exercise every bit he has and does not care who he hurts in the meantime.
Attorneys representing survivors and families impacted by the shooting spoke outside of court, calling this a calculated move by the defendant.
And what we saw quite clearly was a defendant who came to court today with one goal in mind: to continue the terror that began on July 4th, 2022.
I don't know what else to say other than I don't know what more proof we can that we can have. He is evil and manipulative and brought us here today.
He's just fucking with him.
What he was going to do.
That's exactly what it is.
The suspect has reversed himself on a key issue in court. Just in December, the suspect fired his attorneys only to back off of that decision, asking for a public defender less than a month later. As it stands, this case goes to trial in February 2025. Outside the Lake County Courthouse, I'm Marissa Perlman, CBS 2 News.
Wow, I bet a trial would be wild. For my own morbid curiosity, I want a trial. But you know, for the good of justice and what's right and wrong, like I don't need to be consuming some exploitative trial. Dude probably should just plead guilty and put everything to bed for those poor families. But once again, it's good content for the Troll Patrol, so I would totally watch clips of the trial. We're going to New Jersey. Carteret, New Jersey, where a truck plowed through several backyards.
Now to breaking news and a startling picture here from Chopper 4. A semi-truck has plowed into this house in Carteret, New Jersey. John McLaughlin over that scene right now. John, what can you tell us about how this happened and what you're seeing here?
Well, right now, Adam, it's unclear how.
Right by your mom's house.
What happened? The truck was on Middlesex Avenue, which is this main thoroughfare here.
It says Porgy.
How the fence in the backyard of this house continued on to Passaic Street and across into this other house on the back of Chrome Street. So it went basically unstopped through 3 fences across the street and then into the house. There are a couple of warehouses with tractor trailers. As we zoom out, you can see them in full. Over to the left side of this, it's unclear if that tractor trailer came out of that.
It looks like a lovely area.
The company that is involved in hauling with this carrier is one of the carriers that is located at that warehouse. So we will keep an eye on this right now. No word on any injuries either, but there are ambulances and the fire department on scene as well. And the house has at least part of it come loose from the remainder of the structure. We'll keep an eye on that, and if any more details become available, we'll bring them to you. But for now, live over Carteret, New Jersey in Chopper 4, I'm John McLaughlin. Adam, back to you in the studio.
Wow, John, what has plowed into this house in Carteret, New Jersey?
Can you imagine being on the back porch?
What can you tell us about how this happened?
Enjoying a coffee?
Well, right now, Adam, it's unclear how it happened. But
truck comes at you.
The truck was on Middlesex Avenue, which is this main thoroughfare here. It went through the back, the fence in the backyard of this house, continued on to Passaic Street, and across into
lost its brakes
on the back of Chrome Street. So it went basically unstopped through 3 fences across the street and then into the house. There are a couple of warehouses with tractor trailers. As we zoom out, you can see them in full. Over to the left side of this, it's unclear if that tractor trailer came out of that lot or not, but the company that
was going into it
with this carrier is one of the carriers that is located at that warehouse. So we will keep an eye on this right now. No word on any injuries either.
Feel like it was going into it.
And the fire department on scene as well. And the house has at least part of it come loose from the remainder of the structure. We'll keep an eye on that, and if any more details become available, we'll bring them to you. But for now, live over Carteret, New Jersey in Chopper 4.
Carteret.
McLaughlin, Adam, back to you in the studio.
Wow.
I couldn't imagine being in the house and a truck fucking hits it. All right, this one might pucker your butthole. I'm gonna give you one that might pucker your butthole. I think this happened in Britain or somewhere in the EU. I don't think it happened in the US. I'm gonna hit the content warning. Oh, I got a Smokey probably sticking his ass up in the microphone. I love this cat, but seriously, he likes to hit the microphone. Here you go.
A child was pulled from the tracks mere seconds before a train sped through a station. CCTV footage released by the London Northeastern Railway shows a woman walking with one child, followed by another small child, who seemingly jogs to catch up. The child slows down and comes to a stop on the platform. They get on their knees and start to crawl backward, slipping off the raised platform onto the train tracks below.
Stupid kid.
People run towards the action, but one man took the leap down to where the child was dangerously close to the rails. He lifts the child up and places him near the adult the child traveled with. Then, like a humble hero, the man climbs up from the tracks and walks away. Only 13 seconds after both the man and the fallen child were off of the track,
well, that wasn't that close.
The rail train sped by. Due to a selfless person being at the right place at the right time, authorities say this incident only resulted in minor injuries. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm TC.
I mean, it is seconds. I thought we were talking like 5 seconds or something. I thought it was going to be insane. It was not. It's kind of anticlimactic. Unless you like babies, maybe it was pretty climactic if you like babies. Do you like wrestling? I like wrestling. I'm a wrestling fan. Wrestler Too Cold Scorpio was arrested for a violent stabbing, but he's claiming self-defense. Holy shit. Oh, I know all about clickbait thread. I do it a little bit myself. I engage in it. Former wrestling star Too Cold Scorpio, who won a WCW Tag Team Championship with Buff Bag. Why is that the mention of all the things this motherfucker did? He was Flash Funk in the WWF. Why you gotta mention Buff Bagwell? Fox, good evening. He was arrested on June 15th for violently stabbing a man during a gas station fight. He claims he was acting in self-defense. According to court documents, the bloody incident happened at around 3:40 a.m. at a Love's Travel stop in Kansas City, Missouri. Authorities say Too Cold Scorpio, a.k.a. Charles Skaggs, told them he was working as a security guard at the store when he saw a man who had lit up a cigarette inside of the establishment. That is not a death penalty. The man who was stabbed tells TMZ Sports he did not light up inside the store. He says he thought the dart was put out prior to entering the building, but it might not have been fully extinguished. Skaggs stated he told the guy he couldn't smoke inside, but then claimed the man became upset and said, "Fuck you, the fuck you gonna do?" Skaggs said the man then threatened him, and when the two eventually made their way outside of the store, he claimed the guy tried to grapple with him. During the scuffle, Skaggs told authorities he pulled a knife from his pocket and stabbed the guy in self-defense. The wrestler said the altercation went on for several more moments, and in the squabble, he got in a few more stabs too. I thought this was Too Cold Scorpio and not New Jack. Cops say when they arrived on the scene, they found the guy who was stabbed lying on the ground, bleeding from his head, chest, buttocks. He got stabbed in the ass by Too Cold Scorpio. The head, chest, buttocks, legs, and abdomen. They added that he was transported to a local hospital as he was going in and out of consciousness. According to the docs, though, investigators were able to make contact with him at the medical facility later in the day. They say he told them that Skaggs was the aggressor in the situation. Skaggs was ultimately thrown behind bars and hit with 2 felony charges, 1 count of first-degree assault and 1 count of armed criminal action. Court records show after bonding out, he pleaded not guilty to the charges. He's due back in court for a hearing in the case next month. Skaggs broke into professional wrestling way back in 1985. He went on to compete for several promotions, including WWE. While he mainly wrestled as Too Cold Scorpio, he also uses the stage name Flash Funk. They did mention Flash Funk. The guy you ass stabbed. It's like Butter shooting somebody in the dick. Like, you don't stab a man in the ass. Then again, if you're gonna get stabbed somewhere, the ass is probably like the... Yeah, it didn't sound like the other guy was armed. So I don't understand. Did kind of seem like Too Cold Scorpio was the aggressor. How fucking old is he now? Wrestling since I was born. All right, guys, if you're on Twitch, you're gonna have to take a commercial break. I probably won't be on very much longer after the commercial, but like we gotta get the commercial break out of the way because I will be on longer than that. Who knows how long I'll ramble? I could be on for 2 more hours. You never fucking know. But as for like doing the news, I have one more story and then an animal video for you. Who knows how long it will last? But do stick around. We'll ramble on. Here's your 3-minute commercial break. They talk about Dave Grohl and Taylor Swift. Guess I should have said that before the commercial break. That's the selling point, right? I'm going to talk about Dave Grohl and Taylor Swift. There's been a lot of mentions of burgers. I like burgers. I'm a big burger fan. I have hamburgers a lot. I do not have the stuff to make a hamburger right now. I still have like 1 bowl of spaghetti left. God, it gives me heartburn. It's so good though. I made some badass spaghetti. I made dinner before the stream, but did not get to eat it, so I get to eat dinner directly after the stream. I made the stuff for either a amazing salad, maybe a sandwich with some goat cheese and Caesar chicken and some tomatoes on it, on a toasted bun, and a salad. Probably both those things. I know this. I know this in my life. Right now, I need to either change my diet or exercise. Maybe both, but possibly only one or the other, right? And I do not want to do either of these things. Walk like an Egyptian. I love the Bengals. I need to walk, run, jog, do some push-ups, sit-ups, some shit. I'm getting old, and it's really taking its effect on me. And I eat a lot of cheese, a lot of cream, I love a potato with a lot of cheese, or whatever the fuck it is. Many different ways you can fix a potato and cheese, and I love all of them. Pasta, I love salad. So here's the thing is like, for the last 10 years at least, I've understood that I need to have some sort of green to go with my heavy cream, chocolate milk, a lot of brownie consuming diet. I don't know. I had this weird feeling the other day. I was just laying on the couch. I'm like, I'm gonna lose my foot to diabetes. I am well on my way to losing a foot to diabetes, and that's like the last thing I want. But like I've said this many times, like I may even be a little lactose intolerant, but a life without cheese, a life without milk, I couldn't do it. I could, like, that's the reason to live. Chocolate, cheese, good coffee. I was getting the gout there for a little bit, but like that was when I first moved into this apartment. I didn't have any cookware yet. I had to like save up some money and get some cookware, and I was eating a lot of, you know, I don't really care for most frozen pizzas, so I was getting like the deli made pizzas and shit, making them myself. I can't do portion control. I eat especially like I'm a stoner, right? So I get stoned as shit and I eat more than what I need to. And also apparently like it's not good to eat before you go to sleep, and I'm really bad about pigging out and then just So that's kind of what we got going on here. All right, everybody's back from commercial break. Let's land this plane. I don't like water. I know it's bad. I drink like sweet tea all the time. I should just drink water. At a Foo Fighters show in London on Saturday, Dave Grohl told the audience something like taking a swipe at Taylor Swift. They were both apparently playing in London.
You don't want to suck the rap of Taylor Swift. So we like to call our tour the Errors Tour, because I feel like we've had more than a few eras.
I'm alright with water. I just like some flavor.
Just a couple. That's because we actually play live. What? Just saying. Like, we're a live band. You guys like raw, live rock and roll music, right? We came to the right fucking place.
I do like some citrus water. Dave Grohl was playing at the. It doesn't say what the venue was. I love cucumber. I got like 3 cucumbers from the store tonight. They were both in London. The Foo Fighters were at London Stadium, and Taylor Swift was at Wembley. Apparently, like, Taylor fired back at Dave Grohl.
What you just did is an unforgettable moment in not just my life, but every one of my band members, every single one of our crew.
I don't doubt her band was playing live. She's using backing tracks. I'm assuming they're two completely different audiences, right? The people who would go to a Foo Fighters concert are like not the people who would go to a Taylor Swift concert, right? So you can have an event like that on the other side of town. I would think. But like, I'm assuming that's what they're talking about, that she's using backing tracks. Because I'm pretty sure I've not watched the HBO special. Yeah, everyone used backing tracks. Lady Gaga used backing tracks. But she was still singing live. The band was still playing live. But they're playing along to backing tracks. It's the industry stand. Especially, okay, I totally get it with a show that's like a song and dance, like a Lady Gaga. And when she fucking sat down at the piano and it was just her and the piano, fuck, that was as real as could fucking be. So like you get your money's worth, right? So like I'm not dissing Tay-Tay, especially if it's like a 3-hour fucking show. But if you're a band, or if you're Adele or something and you're known for being a singer, like, you know, there's like, it's different instances. I don't know. Here is a video of a man saving a choking raccoon. Yes, I said that. A man saving the life of a choking raccoon.
A man in Michigan is being hailed a hero after saving a raccoon that was choking in his yard. His friend caught it all on video.
He is choking, though. A little bit lower, Bill. Upward motion. There you go. There it is. A little bit lower.
Well, Bill says that he and a few friends were all hanging out when the raccoon approached them. Turns out this little guy ate a little piece of cheese and it just so happened to go down the wrong pipe. The group of
He's huge.
Rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy, and they say that he is welcome back anytime. A man in Michigan is being hailed a hero after saving a raccoon that was choking in his yard. His friend caught it all on video.
That is a domesticated raccoon. Look how big that fucker is. That raccoon eats well.
Choking, though. A little bit lower, Bill. Upward motion. There you go. There it is. A little bit lower.
Well, Bill says that he and a few friends were all hanging out when the raccoon approached them.
He was choking.
The guy ate a little piece of cheese and it just so happened to go down the wrong pipe. The group of men then named him Rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical of shit on the internet, right? Like, did they choke that raccoon on purpose? But that raccoon seems thankful for their work. Oh, it totally knows
Saving a
humans.
raccoon that was choking in his yard. His friend caught it all on video.
He is choking, though. A little bit lower, Bill. Upward motion.
Raccoons are cool.
There you go.
I would totally have a raccoon.
Well, Bill says that he and a few friends were all.
If you're watching on Twitch, we're heading over to Echoplex Media.
This little guy ate a little piece
tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Hour early start time. It's debate night. Get ready, bitches.
They say that
Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack.